What? After receiving this message from Mo Nyen, Long Chen's heart couldn't help but tremble. I underestimated this formation. This Sage King prefecture is actually only the eye of the formation, and the entire formation might be spread throughout the entire Nirvana overflow heaven. This should be considered a heavenly grand formation, one linked to the other domains and even the netherworld. Look at my crystal coffin. It is an eternal divine weapon, but it was unable to shake the pillar of light in the slightest. Furthermore, the backlash was so intense that it damaged it. After all, our realms aren't high enough to draw out the true power of eternal divine weapons. Even if no one was stopping us, we wouldn't be able to rattle this grand formation, transmitted Mo Nyen. He was still in a fight with Yen Wuji and had already put away the crystal coffin after failing. The fact that it was damaged aggrieved him to death. He hadn't expected this grand formation to be this terrifying. Even an eternal divine weapon was damaged from striking it. Long Chun was also stunned by this. An eternal divine weapon was powerless against the formation? Then it was impossible to break, unless they had an eternal expert using an eternal divine weapon. Must I use the Heaven-Earth Cauldron? Long Chun muttered to himself inside. But if he did use the Heaven-Earth Cauldron, there would be no going back. One of the 10 primal chaos divine items would be fully exposed, and he might not be able to leave the Sage King prefecture alive. Just as Long Chun was struggling with this, a voice reached him. Big brother Long Chun, let me try it. It was Dong Mingyu. Long Chun instantly thought of the mysterious dagger that he had dragged out of the Nether River. No, your defenses aren't strong enough. You might not be able to endure the formation's backlash. Give me the dagger, said Long Chun. Suddenly, the space beside Long Chun quivered, shocking Long Chun. With a random swipe of his hand, a dagger appeared in his grasp. Long Chun was shocked. It seemed that Dong Mingyu was right beside him, but he was unable to sense her at all. Dong Mingyu had originally been with Meng Qi, Yu Qingxian, Tang Waner, and the others, helping Chu Yao and Lu Ruyan. However, at some point, she had arrived beside him, and he himself hadn't even noticed it. Even so, he wasn't the only one. Even the ghost Dao lifeform and Yi Wuchen had not noticed it. Dong Mingyu's skill in concealing herself had truly grown to a terrifying realm. Once again, a dragon claw sliced through the void, colliding head-on with the ghost Dao lifeform's claw. This time, sparks ignited, and an unexpected metallic ringing reverberated through the air. In this clash, it seemed that Long Chun was at a disadvantage, as he shot back toward the pillar of light. Furthermore, his momentum was even greater than when Yi Wuchen had been sent smashing into it. In front of countless shocked gazes, Long Chun smashed into that light pillar. Seeing this scene, Yi Wuchen smiled vengefully. Only he knew just how terrifying the backlash was. Just then, Long Chen's body suddenly became covered in dragon scales, and a pitch-black dagger appeared in his hand, stabbing toward the light pillar. Bang! Black light stabbed into the pillar, rending it as if it were mere paper. The once seemingly impervious pillar of light, which neither Yi Wuchen nor Mo Nyen had been able to break, now appeared incredibly weak in front of this black dagger. The next moment, Long Chen's expression suddenly changed. His wings then blazed like a sun, and he shot back with his absolute greatest speed. Boom! The pillar of light exploded like a volcano that had been accumulating power for billions of years, unleashing all of it through a tiny hole. The released power surged uncontrollably, running rampant in all directions. Moreover, the moment Long Chun attacked the light pillar, the Dark Domain Lord came flooding out of it, its enormous body akin to a meteor falling from beyond the heavens. Long Chun dodged as quickly as possible, barely avoiding being crushed by the Dark Domain Lord. Just the wind from its falling body cut his face. Seeing that enormous body flying toward him, the Ghost Dao lifeform panicked. He then transformed into a wisp of smoke, vanishing from heaven and earth. He had just vanished when the Dark Domain Lord crushed the space where he had just been. The Ghost Dao lifeform managed to avoid it, but the experts behind him weren't as lucky. Countless experts were crushed to dust by the Dark Domain Lord's enormous body. The enormous body ran through over half of the martial stage, and the blood and devil races experts were the most unlucky, their troops being cut in two by it. Boom! The Dark Domain Lord then smashed into the barrier around the martial stage, unleashing such a loud booming noise that countless people covered their ears, blood pouring out from between their fingers. They could no longer hear the slightest thing after that. The Dark Domain Lord seemed to be struck dizzy by that impact and then looked around in confusion. Suddenly, it let out a heaven-shaking roar and started a slaughter. This Dark Domain Lord's giant body was like an unstoppable Vajra. It pounded its arms into the ground, leaving countless experts with no room to evade, resulting in their immediate death. Seeing this scene, countless people panicked. That was an existence on par with innate heaven venerates, and not just any, but the cream of the crop. It was clear that ordinary individuals stood no chance against such a formidable force. Long Chun, you goddamn bastard. You're trying to get us all killed. Curses rang out as people fled. After all, the Dark Domain Lord didn't seem to care about anything. Its eyes were scarlet, looking insane as it pursued everyone. Boom! Suddenly, the Dark Domain Lord quivered. An enormous black lily had appeared in front of it, and its lily leaves rapidly covered it. The Dark Domain Lord was absolutely enormous, but in front of the heaven-shrouding lily leaves, it still appeared small. It was instantly covered. The Dark Domain Lord roared, its sharp claws tearing through the lily leaves. However, before it could escape, more leaves covered up the opening. They were like layers of silk firmly wrapping it. More and more layers quickly covered the Dark Domain Lord. In the blink of an eye, 18 layers had firmly surrounded it. At first, the Dark Domain Lord had been crazily struggling and occasionally tearing through the bindings. But after the 10th one, it could only wiggle inside of its prison, unable to tear through its bindings. By the 18th one, it seemed fully sealed, unable to even move. Just then, they heard a strange sound, akin to a beast gulping down water. It was a sound that made people's hair stand on end. The next moment, the lily leaves slowly opened, one layer at a time. When all the leaves were gone, people saw that the Dark Domain Lord was no more, and a pile of bones clattered to the ground. This sight sent shivers through their spines, as they stared in horror at that enormous lily. The lily then vanished, transforming into a woman. She was the Devil Eye Water Lily's princess, Lian Wuing. Lian Wuing still had some blood at the corner of her mouth, and her aura had grown even more terrifying. With a devilish light flickering in her eyes, she smiled, radiating sheer bloodlust from her smile. This farce has gone on long enough. All subordinates of the Undying Race, kill Long Chan and everyone connected to him. After Lian Wuing gave the order, millions and millions of the Undying Race's experts flooded toward Long Chun. Lian Wuing had personally taken action. Using absolute force, she directly exterminated one of the terrifying Dark Domain Lords, shocking everyone. Even more shocking than that, she gave the order for the Undying Race's experts to attack, and they flooded toward Long Chun. Millions and millions of Undying experts poured toward Long Chun like a flood. Seeing this, Lu Ruian's side also shot into motion. The Undying Willow Race led another faction of the Undying Race's experts, rushing toward Long Chen's side as well. However, curiously, Lu Ruian didn't directly intercept Lian Wuing's troops. Instead, the two of them directly rushed toward Long Chun practically side by side. Brave warriors of the Devil Race, Long Chun has our blood on his hands. He is the mortal enemy of the Devil Race. Anyone who kills him will be a true warrior of the Devil Race. Following that, the Devil Race's army also began to move. Although they had repeatedly taken heavy losses on the martial stage, they were still numerous. Warriors of the Blood Race, the time to avenge our race's people has come. Slaughter them. The Blood Race's experts also made their move. Long Chan is brothers with Wu Tian. Anyone who cuts off his head will be favored by the Nether Emperor. It's just up to who has that ability. A furious roar came from the Netherworld's experts. Shadow Race's warriors, the target is right there. Long Chen's head is mine. As for the heads of the others, Take them as you please. The Shadow Race's princess led hundreds of thousands of experts from the Shadow Race to suddenly vanish into midair. Long Chen's life belongs to the demonic beast race. We won't let other races take it first. The time for my demonic beast race to rise has come. Warriors, it's time to show this world the new demonic beast race. A roar came from the demonic beast race. But in truth, countless demonic beast experts had been rushing toward Long Chen before this person shouted. Enemies flooded Long Chen's camp from all sides, immediately singling him out as their primary target. This sudden shift in the situation left the majority of observers utterly stunned. What is going on? Why are they targeting Long Chen all at once? Demanded by Zhantong. Because Long Chen has the ability to destroy those pillars of light. Thus, they have to eliminate him as quickly as possible, said the palace master. Could they all be? Bai Zhantong was shocked. It seemed that all these people were acting under the banner of avenging enmity while concealing their true intentions. They're in danger. Bai Shirshir's mother clenched her fists, her palms sweaty. Long Chen's scant group was now the target of practically all the race's powerful experts. Ha ha ha. However, upon seeing all these enemies charging toward him, Long Chen actually raised his head and laughed. A pack of fools. Even when you're being used, you don't realize it. There's no need for more words. Let us speak with our weapons. Long Chen turned toward the Dragonblood warriors. Seeing the familiar faces, Long Chen was filled with intense emotion. Brothers, in the martial heaven continent, we ended up together because of battle, and now we are reunited in battle once more. We live for battle, to cut down all the injustices beneath the heavens. Others view us as pawns, ants, and fools. But we know that while a person's life might be as weak as a piece of paper, a person should live like an unyielding stone. We have fathers, mothers, and brothers, and in their eyes we are not ants. We are the sun and moon, the pride of their lives. Without us, their world would become dark. Thus we cherish our lives more than anyone. It is precisely because of this that we cultivate with our lives on the line, that we fight with our lives on the line. Only then can we live with dignity. Brothers, open your throats and roar. Take out your weapons and kill. On the battlefield, there is no right and wrong, only victory and defeat, life and death. Anyone who wants to take our lives is an enemy, and there is only one thing to do to our enemies. Kill. Long Chen's voice gradually intensified as he spoke until it was like rolling thunder splitting apart the heavens. His final word in particular caused the entire world to dim and a haze of blood to appear in the air. The next moment, the entire world turned scarlet, both inside and outside the martial stage. It was like a bloody air was growing, as if foretelling something. Kill! 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 The Dragonblood warriors drew their weapons and roared, forming a resonance with Long Chen's command. In that moment, the Dragonblood warriors' souls seemed to have become closely connected. Kill! 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 There were also the disciples of the Starry River sect, the High Firmament Academy, the Battle God Palace, and the other heavenly geniuses who had come to assist Long Chen. This speech set their blood ablaze. As of now, there was no longer any fear in their hearts, only an overflowing will to fight. As death was no longer able to make them afraid, with their blood blazing, only by killing their enemies could they unleash their emotions. Just as Long Chen finished raising their morale, a sword slashed down like a meteorite at him, its power shaking the martial stage. It was Yi Wuchen. This time, Yi Wuchen's manifestation was present, and his blood qi was blazing. With the three-colored divine radiance flowing around him, his aura was dozens of times stronger. Yi Wuchen no longer wanted to conceal his power. In his full power state, he prepared to kill Long Chen in an instant. On the other side, the fabric of space twisted and turned. That ephemeral ghost Tao life form appeared once more, his manifestation flowing, resembling a giant skeletal structure. Sinister ghost chi swirled around it, accompanied by the anguished cries of countless ghosts. As his aura erupted like a volcanic eruption, he let out a claw that caused his manifestation to tremble. Following that, a white bone claw also reached out of his manifestation. The two claws seamlessly fused together, giving rise to thousands of claw-like images that materialized in the air. 10,000 claws returned to one. Suddenly, the ghost Tao lifeform shouted, and those thousands of claw images merged into one, a single normal-sized white bone claw. After shrinking, this claw didn't make any sound. It was deathly silent, like the silence before death. Long Chun slowly turned his head to them. As if he didn't even see both of their terrifying attacks, he coldly said, "This world requires reverence, for it is only through reverence of power that people can learn to cultivate a respectful heart." Dragon King Battle Armor. Boom! When Long Chen's seven-colored divine ring appeared, it was accompanied by a majestic dragon cry. With his body covered in 108,000 dragon scales, he was like a blazing golden sun illuminating the world. Long Chen's blood chi ignited, unleashing a torrent of violent power in the form of a golden sphere of light. Boom! To everyone's surprise, Yi Wuchen and the Ghost Tao lifeform's attacks simply exploded on contact with that sphere of light. Moreover, the sphere of light wasn't affected at all and continued growing in every direction. What? Their attacks were simply crushed by Long Chen's aura? Shocked cries echoed through the crowd. Long Chen had only unleashed his aura, yet it had shattered both of their powerful attacks. This scene left everyone utterly stunned. With Long Chen's blood chi raging, waves of astral winds radiated outward in all directions. He was in the eye of a hurricane, with the tempest of astral winds swirling wildly across the entire martial stage. At the same time, the deafening rumblings shook people's ears. Yi Wuchen and the Ghost Tao lifeform, being the closest to Long Chen, found themselves steadily pushed back by the force of the astral winds. The space beneath their feet quaked as they tried to stabilize themselves, but they were still continuously forced back. The current Long Chen seemed like a dragon god looking down on the rest of the world. Moreover, there was an enormous figure within his divine ring, a figure of a giant golden dragon. However, it was so big that people were only able to see a portion of its body through the divine ring, not its full body. At this time, the various races' armies were terrified by what they were facing, so they involuntarily slowed their assaults. "Don't be afraid. We will crush him in one blow." It was unknown where this shout came from. Following that, the experts of multiple races crashed toward Long Chen. In front of that endless tide of experts, Long Chen suddenly raised his head and roared. Dragon roars at the 9 heavens. Simultaneously, as he let out a thunderous roar, a dragon's roar resonated from his divine ring. These roars then intertwined, producing a voice that seemed to echo from the primal chaos era. It carried the power of time and a wild bloodlust. Sound waves then rippled in front of Long Chen, resembling a tsunami. Not good. Witnessing the sound waves distort and rupture the very void, the expressions of many experts underwent a drastic change, and they hastily retreated. Wherever the waves went, countless experts blew apart. These sound waves killed all enemies, regardless of their race and affiliation. As a result, the various races fell into chaos. The ones at the front were trying to retreat, while those at the rear didn't know what was happening and were still trying to advance. In the chaos, they could neither advance nor retreat. The ones who witnessed the unfolding catastrophe were horrified, as they had never encountered such terrifying sound waves before. Even supreme experts didn't have the slightest ability to resist them. Countless experts were directly slain, turning the inside of the martial stage into a scene of scarlet chaos. No one knew just how many experts had carelessly lost their lives to this one roar from Long Chen. Boom! Just then, the void quivered and lily leaves covered the sky. Hundreds of thousands of experts from the Devil Eye Water Lily race had summoned their true bodies and raised their defensive formation. Bang! However, those lily leaves were directly blasted apart by the sound waves. Even the Devil Eye Water Lily race was unable to resist that attack. Even so, after passing through their defenses, Long Chen's roar had lost much of its power. Despite it continuing onward, it no longer had much killing power, at least not enough to threaten these experts. An insignificant trick. You dare to act arrogant with just this? I'll deal with you. As the Devil Eye Water Lily race managed to suppress Long Chen's dragon roar, Lian Wuying shot forward, her manifestation bursting into existence. Within an endless immortal pool, a heaven-shrouding water lily bloomed. The lily glowed, and in an instant, she traversed the battlefield. In her hand materialized a peculiar weapon, a lily seed pod, within which flickered a divine radiance of 5 colors. With the speed of a meteor, she hurled it at Long Chen. The void directly crumbled before the onslaught of this seed pod, leaving behind a visible scar in the void. The 5-colored divine radiance contained 5 kinds of divine energy: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Although you aren't a person, you also need to know reverence. Long Chen snorted and directly reached out a hand, his 5 fingers like claws closing in on the 5-colored lily seed pod. Boom! A burst of 5-colored divine radiance erupted, causing the heavens and earth to shake. Gasps of astonishment filled the air as Long Chen securely caught Lian Wuying's 5-colored seed pod. Observing the surging energy waves, everyone was left in awe and disbelief. What level of power is this? Even innate heaven venerates felt afraid in front of them. Lian Wuying's strength was unquestionable. After all, she had crushed a dark domain lord all on her own, easily slaying it. As for that 5-colored lily seed pod of hers, it caused even the heavenly Daos to crumble, which meant that this attack was absolutely terrifying. However, Long Chen had forcibly received it. Contrary to everyone's expectations, Lian Wuying's expression remained unchanged upon witnessing her weapon being caught. Her manifestation quivered as she recalled it back. The void beneath their feet then shattered like ice. Lian Wuying was calling back her weapon, but Long Chen didn't even budge. That 5-colored lily seed pod seemed to have melded with Long Chen's hand. Long Chen, this Lian Wuying is mine. Just then, Lu Ruyan's voice rang out from behind Long Chen. She had already led the Undying Race's experts over to Long Chen's camp, increasing their power. That isn't important. What is important is that you have to protect my brothers, said Long Chen without looking back. And why is that? Demanded Lu Ruyan furiously. Because we are companions who can trust each other, said Long Chen. Upon hearing this, Lu Ruyan's expression became odd. She couldn't help grumbling. Only a ghost would be your trusted companion. However, Lu Ruyan did not continue acting stubborn. Although she wanted to personally fight Lian Wuying, she actually endured it because of Long Chen. Those who can risk their lives to help me are all my brothers and sisters. If they are willing to risk their lives for me, then I am also willing to risk my life for them. Please help me. Long Chen's voice softened. There was even a pleading note to it. All the experts who had come to help him were moved when they heard this. It was now clear that with Long Chen's power, there had been no need for them to help him. Hence, these words struck them in the softest parts of their hearts. Felt like even if they had to die for Long Chen, they would be willing. Lu Ruyan was also startled. In all her years knowing Long Chen, it was her first time hearing him speak like that to her. As a result, her own heart softened. Don't worry, I will personally guarantee their safety, promised Lu Ruyan. Hearing that, Long Chen fully relaxed. But then, a violet sword pierced through the air out of nowhere, striking Long Chen. Boom! Long Chen released the 5-colored lily seed pod and shot back like a shooting star. Sui Feng. Guoran and the others were enraged. The attacker was the heavenly genius of the Violet Blood Race's Su family, Su Yifeng. He had been hiding for a long time, only to suddenly launch a sneak attack at this moment. Long Chen was actually struck by him. Stop him! Suddenly, a shriek rang out. People were stunned to see Long Chen actually flying toward another light pillar. After that, Long Chen slashed a black dagger at that light pillar. No one had expected that after being surrounded and attacked by so many people. Rather than thinking about how to survive, Long Chun was still planning on breaking those pillars of light. Furthermore, he succeeded. Borrowing the power from Su Yifeng's sneak attack, he arrived in front of a second light pillar before anyone could react. Boom! Long Chen's black dagger slashed through the light pillar, tearing it open. The next moment, its divine light flowed out, and another dark domain lord emerged, surging into the fray. The radiant light then crashed toward those in the vicinity. Long Chun, having learned from the previous encounter, directed the opening toward his enemies this time. Get out of the way! A startled cry rang out, warning the others. However, that dark domain lord already smashed down like a shooting star. Its enormous body filled their entire line of sight. Boom! The dark domain lord descended with tremendous force, and the resulting astral winds obliterated numerous experts. However, just at that moment, there was an immense explosive sound. Astonishingly, the dark domain lord had struck an even larger entity just before touching the ground. It was a black tortoise. When the dark domain lord landed on the shell, an immense power sent the dark domain lord tumbling back. The black tortoise also tumbled through the air a few times, yet not even the faintest scratch marred its resilient shell. Its incredible durability was apparent, so it must be something on par with an eternal divine weapon. Suddenly, the black tortoise opened its mouth. As its 4 claws slitted across the martial stage, its mouth snapped down toward the dark domain lord. However, just as it was about to bite the dark domain lord, an enormous lily leaf wrapped around the dark domain lord. Lien Wuying, that is mine, roared the black tortoise. It belongs to whoever can get it, sneered Lien Wuying. With a pull, the dark domain lord's body was sent flying, and the black tortoise's mouth snapped down on nothing. After that, more lily leaves appeared, wrapping around the dark domain lord, leaving it with no room to struggle. Perhaps because this dark domain lord had not recovered from the immense impact just now, it didn't manage to break through a single layer of leaves this time. The lily leaves then opened, and the dark domain lord was gone. All that remained was a pile of bones that tumbled to the stage. Lien Wuying, you are courting death, roared the black tortoise. His prey had actually been snatched from his jaws. Furthermore, after devouring a second dark domain lord, Lien Wuing's aura strengthened once more. As a peak immortal king, her aura vaguely showed signs of breaking through the limits of this realm. On the other hand, Lien Wuing didn't even respond and just looked at Long Chun. Long Chun was as quick as lightning, already shooting toward another distant light pillar. Stop him! 2 of the 9 pillars have been broken. If another is broken, the formation will become completely unbalanced, shouted someone. The next moment, a violet gold bell appeared, shattering the void in front of Long Chun. It was the Violet Blood Race's eternal divine weapon wielded by Su Exioner. Right at the start, she already used her eternal divine weapon, seeming like she intended to fight Long Chun to the death. Long Chun snorted. He could easily tell that this bell might look to be unleashing a mighty strength, but its power was secretly reserved so that she could pull it back instantly. In this case, Su Exioner was quite crafty. She only did this as a show, wanting Long Chun to go around. She had no intention of actually fighting Long Chun. Long Chun then pushed forward, stabbing the black dagger toward the bell. As expected, Su Exioner didn't dare to use her bell to receive that black dagger and hastily fell back. After all, Long Chen's black dagger was capable of breaking the pillars of light, things that not even eternal divine weapons managed to shake. Hence, no one else dared to use their precious weapons against Long Chen's black dagger. Long Chun pierced through the remaining violet chi, but suddenly, divine light erupted in front of him. A sharp sword-like violet divine radiance then pierced toward Long Chun. Facing this attack, a sensation of death swelled within him. In an instant, he understood that Su Exioner's attack had not been an attempt to intimidate him but rather a prelude to Su Yifeng's imminent strike. Their cooperation was perfect. Su Exioner's violet chi had completely covered up Su Yifeng's attack. By the time Long Chun noticed it, it was too late to dodge. Boom! The violet divine radiance pierced through the sky, striking the martial stage's barrier and tearing through it. The violet divine light was like a sword stabbing the river of stars high above. Everyone was shocked. Up until now, no one had been able to shake the martial stage's barrier, but Su Yifeng's attack could directly pierce it. However, the barrier swiftly mended the breach as if nothing had happened. However, the undeniable truth remained that he had succeeded in penetrating it, leaving everyone in astonishment. The sheer sharpness of that attack was absolutely terrifying, possessing the potential to obliterate even an innate heaven venerate in one go. When people looked back at the battlefield, they saw Long Chun standing in the air. However, his arm was now stained with blood. Long Chun was staring at his arm coldly, his eyes reflecting peculiar fluctuations. He had been injured by the violet blood race's divine ability. While the wound appeared severe, it was in fact only superficial, though it bore a frightening appearance. What Long Chun found incomprehensible was that the surrounding violet chi actually flowed into his arm, seemingly helping him heal. Your body once had violet blood flowing through it. Furthermore, it was even more domineering and purer than his. It's like a subject accidentally hurting the emperor without realizing it. After mistakenly injuring the emperor, the subject does his best to make up for it. However, don't absorb this violet chi. It will affect the purity of your bloodline. You should keep your body thirsting for its original blood. Remember, your violet blood is in Long Outyen's body, reminded the dragon expert. Long Chun was startled. It was no wonder he felt such a thirst when looking at this violet chi. It seemed that his body was urgently anticipating the return of his violet chi. However, this violet chi wasn't his. If he was going to absorb anything, it should be his own violet blood. Just as Long Chun was staring silently, Su Yifeng and Su Exiner, as well as the rest of the Su family's experts, were dumbfounded. Su Yifeng's attack had perfectly and directly struck Long Chun, who had only blocked with a single arm. According to reason, Long Chun should have died from this attack. It had to be known that this attack had directly pierced the martial stage's barrier, and that was after passing through Long Chun. In other words, Long Chun had received its full power. The martial stage's barrier was pierced through, but Long Chun only suffered such a light injury? The Su family's experts found it unbelievable. Long Chun slowly raised his arm, and the shattered dragon scales quickly recovered. All traces of blood that had been dripping from the wounded arm disappeared, leaving it as if nothing had occurred. Suddenly, Long Chen's Kunping wings flapped, and she shot toward another pillar of light. However, the moment he shot toward it, the black dagger in his hand vanished. "Stop him!" Lien Wuying appeared in front of that light pillar. Her lily leaves then rose, blocking Long Chen's way. Boom! Just as everyone was anticipating the battle between Long Chun and Lien Wuying, in the distance, another light pillar exploded. What? Everyone was startled. Looking over, they saw Immortal with a black dagger in his grasp. Ha ha ha! Immortal waved the black dagger and laughed. You idiots! What Long Chun can do, Immortal can also do. Yen Wuji, you shit-eating idiot! You fell for it! Yen Wuji had been pursuing Immortal the entire time. But after Su Yifeng attacked Long Chun, he was startled and slowed down. He didn't realize that the moment Long Chun let go of the black dagger, an invisible figure brought it to Immortal. Moreover, everyone's attention was on Long Chun, not Immortal, which enabled Immortal to succeed with ease. Another pillar of light was gone. This time, the entire martial stage grew unstable, shaking as if it might crumble at any moment. Now, a lot of experts panicked. 3 of the 9 light pillars were already destroyed. When the first 2 had been shattered, the martial stage wasn't affected at all. However, upon the destruction of the 3rd pillar, the entire martial stage began to tremble. Even the very fabric of space grew increasingly unstable. They're trying to drag us all with them. Kill them quick. Kill them, or we're the ones who are going to die. If the martial stage explodes, none of us will survive. Stop watching and kill them. Countless people grew terrified and began to shout crazily. In their eyes, Long Chun and Mo Nian were trying to kill everyone. Long Chun and Mo Nian are the ringleaders. But they also have comrades. Don't let them off. Kill all these evildoers together. This roar came from one of the human race's factions. This faction's experts then took out their weapons and pointed them at the Dragonblood warriors. Kill. Kill them all. Then Long Chun will be distracted. That's right. There are many of Long Chen's women there. If he wants to kill us, then we'll kill his loved ones. Kill them. Tear them to pieces. Make Long Chun pay a bloody price. The experts of the human race, who were closest to the Dragonblood Legion, brandished their weapons, their faces twisted with fury. Idiots! Long Chun and I are saving you. If these pillars are not broken, the formation in the martial stage will turn into a blood ceremony, opening some unknown gates. Then everyone will die. Mo Nian cursed those human experts. Scram, you grave-robbing bastard. Who would believe your lies? Blood ceremony? Unknown gates? Your lies are getting more and more absurd. Do you think we'll fall for your nonsensical tales? What we know is that you are destroying the martial stage, trying to get us all killed. A vehement curse erupted from the human race's side. Kill! Just then, a furious roar rang out, as their anger and fear were all unleashed on Long Chen's faction. Countless experts wielded their butcher's blades and charged forth with murderous intent. What infuriated the Dragonblood warriors the most was that some of these people were the ones whom they had saved on the staircase. However, those weaklings didn't dare to actually attack, so they were shouting in the crowd. Boss ever said that weaklings can only cast their anger out on even weaker people, but the strong wield their blades against the strong. Whether it is in the human race, demon race, devil race, or others, this statement stands true. When reason cannot be discussed, you must use your fists. We live for slaughter. Only slaughter will teach this world respect. Guoran slowly raised his giant crossbow toward those experts. Brothers, use their blood to illuminate this world. Guoran's crossbow unleashed a bolt of divine light that exploded amongst the closest experts. The next moment, blood flew everywhere as the curtains to an immense battle were opened. Kill! Guoran's arrow was unable to stop them and only provoked their wrath even further, turning them into angry beasts. How satirical! The human race respects the devil race, the ghost Dao, the demonic beasts, but doesn't respect themselves. They don't have the courage to fight other races, but will raise their butcher's blades against other humans without mercy. Kill! Kill them until the heavens darken, until rivers of blood flow, until mountains of corpses form. Gu Yong raised his spear, his eyes filled with fury. He didn't know why the human race had to kill each other, why they couldn't trust themselves, why at this time they would continue to fight amongst themselves. It was the peak of idiocy. However, even if you had overwhelming intellect, such a thing could not be avoided. Right now, they could only resolve their problems with the most primitive, barbaric method. When the opposing experts from the human race charged over, Gu Yong took the lead in confronting them head-on. As his eternal spear let out a heaven-shaking cry, his blood chi ignited. Boom! A triple supreme was directly blown apart along with his weapon in a single strike. With his manifestation behind him, Gu Yang's blood chi soared, and strange runes lit up all over his body. He looked as though he was possessed by a primordial beast. Gu Yang's spear was unstoppable, dealing fatal blows to anyone it struck. He effortlessly crushed multiple triple supremes with just one strike each, displaying his exceptional combat prowess. Boom! Suddenly, Gu Yang's spear struck another spear, and this blow caused the void to shatter. Shockingly, this mysterious spear was another eternal divine weapon. Both experts continued to clash fiercely, their spears locked in a deadly contest and their eyes locked onto each other, emanating a ferocious killing intent. Eternal Clan Zhao Qiankuan. Remember this name, because you will die in my hands, said that person coldly. Long Chen's subordinate, first captain of the Dragonblood Legion, Gu Yong. You don't need to remember my name. I've killed too many people, so I don't require others to remember it. Gu Yong snorted and unleashed a burst of power. The two of them simultaneously withdrew, creating some distance between them. However, just as they separated, they swiftly converged once more, colliding like two shooting stars in a fierce clash. This time, the collision became even more intense. The clash between two eternal divine weapons sent shockwaves rippling through the outer Sage King prefecture, causing it to tremble and quake. The two retreated and crashed together again. With absolute confidence in their brute power, they didn't bother to use flashy techniques, relying only on the simplest, purest form of strength to overpower the other side. Boom! 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 The repeated collisions sent shockwaves through the spectators' hearts, inducing a throbbing pain in their heads. It felt like their heads might explode just from the sheer impact. After all, this was not only a clash between two people but also between two eternal divine weapons. This Gu Yong really is powerful. Zhao Chenkuan is the eternal Zhao clan's top heavenly genius, born with divine power and undefeated in battles. He's even a candidate for the next clan leader. Yet, Gu Yong is able to fight him evenly. A startled cry came from outside the martial stage. Zhao Chenkuan's reputation and power were well known, while Gu Yong was just one of Long Chen's subordinates. Hence, for him to be able to fight an expert like Zhao Chenkuan on equal footing shocked countless people. Not too far from them, Li Qi and Song Mingyuan also made their moves. Their opponents were also terrifying heavenly geniuses with their own eternal divine weapons. Eternal Yi clan, Yi Dash. At this moment, another expert from the Yi clan appeared. As three of the four captains had found opponents, this expert shot toward Yu Zifeng. Yu Zifeng didn't wait for the individual to finish uttering his name. His sword directly sliced through the air, and blood sprayed forth. The voice of the Yi clan's expert abruptly ceased. No one saw him draw his sword or heard the sound of a sword coming out of its sheath. However, this time they did see a flash of swordlight. It appeared for one graceful flash before disappearing. When it was gone, that expert of the Yi clan stiffened. Following that, his manifestation slowly split apart along with his body, and his blood overflowed in a straight line down the center of his body. What? The experts watching from outside the martial stage shot up, unable to believe what they were seeing. Yi Qi has been slain. Yi Qi was a peak expert of the eternal Yi clan, and his power was second only to Yi Wuchen. Other than against Yi Wuchen, he had never tasted defeat. Even his manifestation was cut through. The sight of Yi Qi being slain left everyone in shock. What was even more astounding was that his manifestation was severed in two as well. After all, a manifestation was not a solid object. It could be considered an intangible power. Despite most cultivators possessing manifestations, their comprehension of them was rather superficial. Nevertheless, it was well known that manifestations couldn't be harmed in this manner. They would only disappear when their master was slain or their energy ran out. Even an eternal expert, someone who could easily slay an immortal king, couldn't destroy an immortal king's manifestation like this. Yi Qi's manifestation was like a painting that had been cut by a sharp blade, slowly separating. This scene stunned countless people and also toppled their understanding of what manifestations were. Suddenly, Yi Qi's body split apart, and blood sprayed through the air. At the same time, his manifestation exploded, transforming into nothing. On the other hand, Yu Zifeng's expression was as cold and aloof as ever. Upon seeing Yi Qi be slain, all the experts that had been charging toward Yu Zifeng's side turned around and fled in terror. Of the four captains, only Yu Zifeng's side was completely calm, as no one dared to attack him. Looking at the apathetic Yu Zifeng, the enemies all felt chills run down their spines. He was a truly vicious character. With one blow, Yu Zifeng had scared away millions and millions of experts. They then avoided where he was and attacked the other sides. Kill! However, as soon as they approached, they were met by the Dragonblood warriors. The moment both armies met, countless broken limbs flew through the air, their blood dyeing the sky red. The Dragonblood warriors were like a killing machine of flesh and blood. Upon contact, countless experts were slain in droves. The Dragonblood warriors were like tigers or wolves, but they were orderly and cooperated well. When they were together, they unleashed unimaginable killing power. With every blink of an eye, millions of experts were slain, their flesh and blood scattering across the battlefield. The Dragonblood warriors displayed a savage and terrifying demeanor that struck fear into their foes. It appeared as though the opposing forces were simply surrendering themselves to their deaths like lambs to the slaughter. Retreat! The enemies at the front fell back, as they were slaughtered without the slightest ability to resist, while the people at the rear were still pushing forward, unaware of the death toll up ahead. At this moment, the Devil race, Blood race, Demonic Beast race, Netherworld race, Shadow race, and Undying race's experts also arrived on the battlefield. Now, the opposing human experts were caught in between them, and the battlefield grew completely chaotic. After all, the Devil race and so on were already mortal enemies with the human race. They wouldn't be allies just because they had the same goal. Upon seeing experts of the human race, these monsters didn't care if they belonged to Long Chen's side or not. They simply killed everyone on sight. You fucking demonic beasts, grow a brain. Our target is Long Chen, and you dash. The human experts hurled curses at them, but they didn't even have the chance to complete their curses before being slain. As more and more enemies appeared, the pressure on the Dragonblood Legion instantly shot up. However, the side Yu Zifeng was defending was still untouched. No one dared to approach him. All on his own, he blocked an entire side. The battlefield was in chaos, but not every race was actively engaged in combat. Many members of the Demonic Beast race, the Undying race, and the Netherworld race chose to remain on the sidelines, observing the ongoing conflict. The same was true for the human race. Although many people had joined in the battle, even more were standing where they were, patiently watching everything that was happening. Even within the Devil race, which hated Long Chen the most, they were holding back some of their forces. Only half of them were participating in the battle, and many of their branches remained neutral at this time, not helping either side. Despite that, the Dragonblood Legion was already fighting with various races whose experts were 10,000 times their number. The pressure they faced only continued to mount. Even so, the Dragonblood warriors' sharp attacks still frightened their opponents, rendering them afraid to press on too far. They thought about finding a different area to break through, but the region Yu Zifeng was defending was too frightening to approach. Also, all the other areas had the Starry River sect, the High Firmament Academy, and the Battle God Palace's disciples guarding them. Millions of disciples from the Starry River sect were present, and this marked their first time fighting alongside Long Chen. The sheer determination exhibited by the Dragonblood Legion in battle spurred them on, causing them to go all out against anyone who approached them. The Starry River sect's disciples then unleashed their Starry River manifestations, which interlinked to form an iron wall that blocked their enemies. Although the Starry River sect's disciples had always been renowned for their strength, measuring themselves against the Dragonblood warriors ignited an unprecedented battle fervor within them. Because of this, no matter how their enemies assaulted them, they were unable to break through their ranks. Instead, countless enemies simply threw their lives away. Being equally formidable, the Academy and the Battle God Palace's disciples who stood alongside them were all experts amongst experts. After all, the weaker ones were not qualified to participate in this battle. As for the tens of millions of experts that had gone to help Long Chen, only a few thousand of them had the power to join this battle. The others were standing at the rear. The battle raged on, escalating in ferocity. As the land became drenched in blood, the air was thick with its acrid scent. The brutal atmosphere drove people crazy. At this moment, personal survival was no longer a concern. The intoxicating scent of blood drove them to the brink of insanity. Focus on the left. Fill up the gaps on the right. Guoran gave orders from the sky, controlling the tempo of the entire battle. With his golden crossbow, wherever he saw a problem, an exploding arrow would immediately deal with it. These exploding arrows were his latest divine weapon. Since a single arrow was equivalent to the detonation of a world domain divine item, their power was so great that even Triple Supremes would be severely wounded if struck, assuming they survived the onslaught at all. These exploding arrows were priceless treasures to Guaran. But now that he had unleashed them, they instantly cleared up whole areas of the battlefield upon impact. Their power was astonishing. Although an immense battle had already started, Guaran wasn't the slightest bit worried. That was because Meng Qi, Chuyao, Tang Wan'er Yijiqiu, and the others were free and could still deal with any unexpected events. Boom! Suddenly, a huge explosive sound rang out, and a figure came flying out, crashing into the top part of the barrier. A spurt of blood erupted from their mouth. Su Yifeng. This wretched and injured individual was the Violet Blood Race's Su Yifeng. When people looked at where he had come from, they saw a figure ensnared by a bunch of lily leaves. It was Long Chen. As the assault on the Dragonblood Legion unfolded, Long Chen's fight also started. However, amidst the chaos, most people couldn't have a clear view of the battles. In the end, an explosive sound drew everyone's attention back to him. They then saw Su Yifeng smack into the barrier and cough up blood. The one to send him flying was Long Chen. However, just as Long Chen sent Su Yifeng flying, countless lily leaves wrapped around him. Before this, when Long Chen had faced off against Lian Wuying, Su Yifeng had taken that chance to launch a sneak attack, resulting in him suffering a severe injury at Long Chen's hands. Meanwhile, Lian Wuying had also exploited the situation to unleash one of her formidable trump cards against Long Chen. Although the observers didn't see the full thing, they could guess. Su Yifeng was extremely sinister. He had gambled about whether or not Long Chen would dare to focus on him. Su Yifeng's main goal when launching the sneak attack was just to distract Long Chen. If Long Chen chose to dodge, he would use a follow-up move that would push Long Chen into a passive state. And if Long Chen didn't dodge, he predicted that Long Chen wouldn't dare to use his full power against him, or Long Chen would expose an opening to Lian Wuying. Hence, he believed that this sneak attack was foolproof. However, he hadn't expected Long Chen to directly kick him as soon as he got close. This outcome deviated entirely from his predictions. He was perplexed as to how Long Chen had detected him so quickly, particularly when Long Chen should have been preoccupied with Lian Wuying. Furthermore, even if Long Chen had sensed him, Su Yifeng couldn't comprehend how Long Chen had managed to strike him before his own attack had a chance to connect. Baffled by these circumstances, Su Yifeng found himself grievously injured, his bones shattered and blood gushing from his mouth, all without a clear understanding of what had just occurred. However, one thing that Su Yifeng had predicted came true. His actions had indeed created an opening for Lian Wuying, and she directly unleashed her terrifying trump card. The lily leaves wrapped around Long Chen. This was the very technique that had turned the Dark Domain Lords into white bones. Those who cared about Long Chen felt their hearts skip a beat when they saw Long Chen being enveloped by the lily leaves. To their astonishment, the emerald leaves suddenly became encased in frost before bursting into flames. These leaves then shattered and cascaded through the sky like shards of ice, each fragment bearing white flames burning on it. The rank 8 heavenly flame, the Ice Soul Divine Flame. A startled cry rang out from someone who recognized this terrifying flame. This technique is useless against me. Long Chen instantly freed himself from the bindings of the lily leaves, not giving Lian Wuying a chance to complete her technique. However, before dealing with you, there's something more important that I have to do. Long Chen's Kunping wings quivered, and he shot toward the injured Su Yifeng. Upon seeing this, Su Yifeng's expression completely changed. He was still injured, and his blood qi was in disarray. To sum it up, he was not in a battle-ready state. However, without hesitation, he slashed his sword at Long Chen and rapidly fell back. In response, Long Chen twisted his body, skillfully dodging the sword qi without slowing down. Su Yifeng was shocked. He hadn't intended to harm Long Chen with that attack, but rather to buy himself some time. In his current condition, he simply couldn't fight. He had to wait until his blood qi settled. Seeing that his attack had no effect at all, his heart sank even further. To make matters worse, despite the presence of numerous experts in the vicinity, many of whom were focused on Long Chen, not a single person helped him. Long Chen's claw then slammed toward Su Yifeng. Buzz. A violet gold bell appeared, whistling toward Long Chun. Humph! Long Chun snorted. This bell might be an eternal divine weapon, but it was not an offensive one. Effortlessly, Long Chen's left hand clawed down on Su Yifeng, while his right hand punched the bell. A deafening resonance then echoed, shaking people's ears. Long Chen's punch sent the violet gold bell flying. What? Did he just receive the attack of an eternal divine weapon barehanded? Startled cries rang out once again. Long Chun had managed to send the bell flying with a punch. However, Long Chun was also sent flying by an immense force. But just before that, his dragon claw had already grabbed Su Yifeng's sword. Just as Long Chun was sent flying, his right hand trembled, and the immense power of the violet gold bell surged through his arms, channeling into his left hand before releasing through the sword. As though struck by a bolt of lightning, Su Yifeng spewed blood from his mouth. His previous wounds had yet to heal, and this injury added to his misery. He could no longer keep a hold of his sword and was sent flying along with Long Chun. Long Chen's dragon claw then switched from his sword to his neck, freezing Su Yifeng. Just like that, he fell into Long Chen's grasp. Long Chun, if you dare to harm Yifeng, I will slaughter everyone in the High Firmament Academy. Outside the martial stage, the Su family head instantly shot up. Veins throbbed on his forehead, and he appeared as if he had gone insane. All the Su family's experts surged to their feet, feeling tense. After all, Su Yifeng was extremely important to the Su family, being their hope of rising in the future. This fellow from your family is definitely dead. However, slaughtering us is a dream that you can never achieve, sneered Bai Zhantong. He understood Long Chin far too well. First, the martial stage was blocked off, so the ones inside couldn't see or hear what was happening outside. But even if Long Chun did hear, he wouldn't care about this threat. Furthermore, this Su family head had the audacity to declare that he would annihilate the High Firmament Academy, an act that had thoroughly incensed Bai Zhantong. Just who did he think he was threatening? High Firmament Academy, do you realize how few of you will survive if you provoke us? Asked that powerful man who had previously stood beside the Su family head. Is that so? Then let's try it. Bai Zhantong sneered at him. The Su family's arrogance had long since irritated him. The palace master was still silent. However, his mouth slowly curled into a dangerous-looking smile. Outside the martial stage, the Su family's experts almost couldn't breathe. However, inside the martial stage, Yi Wuchen, the Ghost Dao lifeform, Lian Wuying, and the other experts seemed to have no intention of saving Su Yifeng. They merely observed the unfolding events. Only Su Exiner was shocked and enraged. Su Yifeng's power was far greater than this, but he had miscalculated. After being so badly injured, he had no chance to unleash his power. Now, his life was hanging by a thread, and there was nothing she could do. All she could do was shout, but she had no idea what to threaten Long Chun with. Long Chun, release him, otherwise dash. Meng Qi. Long Chun suddenly turned to Meng Qi, who immediately understood. She then closed her eyes and formed hand seals. Buzz. A beautiful figure appeared behind Long Chun. It was an illusory Meng Qi. Long Chun then extended a finger. That finger pierced Su Yifeng's forehead in front of countless shocked gazes. Ah! Su Yifeng screamed and twitched in pain. It seemed that he was suffering unimaginable pain. Seeing this, the Su family's experts were all enraged. Long Chun wasn't killing Su Yifeng but was doing a soul search. Long Chun. The Su family head gritted his teeth, his voice coming from the cracks between his teeth. If everyone looked at him, they would be able to see that the veins on his forehead threatened to explode, and his killing intent seemed almost tangible, akin to burning flames. Su Yifeng's screams resounded throughout heaven and earth. However, the Su family's experts were too horrified to do anything, including Su Exiner. Su Exiner quivered, her face as pale as paper. It was unknown if that was from rage or fright, but she didn't dare to move. When Meng Qi pressed a hand on the back of Long Chen's head, ripples spread through Long Chen's body and out his finger, entering Su Yifeng's head. All of a sudden, Su Yifeng's screams came to a stop, but his body was still quivering. The torment persisted, however. He could only suffer in silence, unable to let out his anguish amidst excruciating pain. Long Chen simply closed his eyes, and information poured into his brain. The next moment, the hole in Su Yifeng's head began to crack, and his body shook even more intensely. Long Chen was currently extracting the memories in Su Yifeng's soul, learning the core secrets of the Su family. Long Chen obtained a great deal of information. While it wasn't the complete information on the Su family, it was enough for Long Chen to confirm his suspicions. He ascertained that the Su family was indeed a traitor of the violet blood race. They had colluded with the devil race to stimulate their violet blood by utilizing the devil blood, therefore unlocking their divine abilities. In truth, the Su family had long since declined, and their violet blood was no longer pure even before this. There was even a danger of their violet blood completely drying up. The specific generation when this began was unclear, but the Su family had actually chosen to cast their loyalties to a certain person to preserve their bloodline divine abilities. That person was Lord Brahma. Currently, the divine shrines within the Su family did not house statues of their own ancestors but, instead, the statue of Lord Brahma. Under Lord Brahma's guidance, the Su family used the devil race's essence blood to stimulate their violet blood. With that stimulation, their violet blood's sense of danger was triggered, causing it to burst forth with power to protect itself. However, the Su family's violet blood had declined before this and was no longer pure, although the devil blood caused it to awaken its latent power, making it seem as if it was growing increasingly powerful. In truth, it was like drinking poison to quench their thirst. The essence of their violet blood gradually dwindled, consumed by the essence blood of the ancient devil that they obtained. As they continuously imbibed it, their violet blood mutated, becoming completely different from before. Empowered by this mutated violet blood, the Su family's people became extraordinarily arrogant. They grew temperamental and gradually became bedeviled without even realizing it. Most frightening of all, they were all Lord Brahma's pious followers. They believed that everything they had was bestowed upon them by Lord Brahma, so they were willing to do anything for him. It had to be known that the violet blood race was one of the strongest bloodlines of the primal chaos era. For their descendants to become Lord Brahma's followers was innately a kind of betrayal. They had forgotten that everything they had came from their ancestors. Other than this information, Long Chen also found some information about this Sage King convention. The Su family head had called Su Xian'er and Su Yifeng over to tell them about this information. According to what he said, this Sage King convention was a sacrificial ceremony, and there would be both offerings and tributes. The offerings were the lives of the life forms on the martial stage. As for the tributes, it was the karmic luck bead. When the ceremony was complete, the karmic luck bead would explode. Hence, the Su family head had told the two of them to gather as much of the karmic luck energy as possible at that moment. After all, the Su family's violet blood had declined. Perhaps if they could obtain enough karmic luck energy, they could rekindle the vitality of their violet blood once more. Thus, the Su family head repeatedly urged them to keep their cool and maintain their power for that final fight for the karmic luck energy. However, Su Xian'er and Su Yifeng were spoiled and pampered. Although they agreed, they still did whatever they wanted. Once they were on the martial stage, they treated the family head's words as wind whistling through their ears. Su Yifeng had previously lost against Long Chen because he hadn't wanted to expose his full power, but now he was unwilling to accept it. Thus, when Long Chen faced off against Lian Wuying, he grasped the chance to plot against Long Chen. Unexpectedly, he was a genius in plotting. He directly plotted away his own life. At this moment, Su Yifeng fell from Long Chen's grasp, his eyes vacant. With the fire of his soul extinguished, the greatest heavenly genius of the Su family had breathed his last. Long Chen was a bit disappointed that Su Yifeng only possessed this much information. Either he hadn't bothered remembering all of it, or the Su family head had only told him this much. In any case, there was nothing about the pillars of light in his memories. Long Chen was sure that some people in this place knew something about the pillars of light. After all, when he broke the pillars, some people were clearly nervous. They had to know something. Yi Feng. Su Exiner seemed to awaken from a stupor. She grabbed Su Yifeng, but he was now a lifeless, cold corpse. Long Chun, you sinister bastard. My Su family won't let you off, she shrieked. Long Chun turned to her with a chilly gaze. A group of idiot dogs brainwashed by Lord Brahma and infected by devil blood. Do you think that I'd let you off after you betrayed your ancestors? Long Chun had an irreconcilable enmity with Lord Brahma. The image of the martial heaven continent's annihilation was forever etched in his memory, and the cries of the continent's spirit, beseeching him to safeguard the lives upon her, still resonated in his ears. Back then, Long Chun had been utterly powerless to confront Lord Brahma. It was the dragon expert that had saved everyone, although it couldn't save the martial heaven continent. Long Chun had always blamed himself for this. Yu Qingxuan's death had also been orchestrated by Lord Brahma. It was from that point onward that Long Chun had made his determination. Lord Brahma had made Yu Qingxian a divine daughter, using her to keep an eye on 9-star heirs. After that, the 9 underworld hall's hunters came, and Yu Qingxian died in Long Chen's embrace. All of these events had solidified the enmity between Long Chun and Lord Brahma, a hatred so profound that it could only be washed away by blood. Hence, when Long Chun knew that the Su family was actually on Lord Brahma's side, as a fellow member of the violet blood race, he was furious. In this life, he hated traitors the most. After learning of this, Long Chun directly understood why the Su family had wanted to bring away Luo Bing and Luo Ning. They wanted their blood. Luo Bing and Luo Ning's violet blood purity could only be considered above average amongst the Luo family's disciples. There was no way for them to compare to Luo Zichuan. However, their bloodline purity was enough to entice the Su family. They hoped to use the two of them to dig out the entire Luo family. As for their goal, it was too terrible to say with words. With Meng Qi's help, Long Chun completed the soul search. Although he didn't learn everything he wanted, it was enough to know that the Su family had betrayed the violet blood race. Today, Long Chun would tidy up his bloodline. You goddamn bastard. Do you think that my Su family is easy to bully? You blind dog. You will pay for this with your blood. Su Exiner suddenly shouted, and her violet gold bell floated in front of her. She suddenly spat a mouthful of blood onto it. After the violet gold bell grew, one terrifying figure after another walked out of it. The violet gold bell quivered and rapidly grew. From within it, a spatial gate opened, and enormous figures appeared one after another. Their terrifying pressure crashed down on everyone. Storm heaven-devouring python, blue-eye golden scale eagle, blood-mark saber-toothed tiger. Heavens! Those are all beasts with immemorial bloodlines. Aren't they extinct long ago? These 3 immemorial beasts had desolate chi around them and were ancient species with pure bloodlines. These beasts should have gone extinct in the immemorial era. But now 3 of them had appeared at once. These 3 immemorial beasts gave off terrifying auras. However, their cultivation bases were locked into the immortal king realm. They were clearly Su Exiner's house pets. After all, a house pet's cultivation base couldn't be higher than its master, or it was all too likely for it to devour its master. But even though their cultivation bases were suppressed to the immortal king realm, their auras caused countless triple supremes to quiver. These 3 beasts came from ancient times, so their combat prowess undoubtedly exceeded that of the current era's heavenly geniuses. After all, back in that time, the laws of the heavenly Daos were complete, and the density of spiritual chi couldn't be compared to now. After summoning these 3 immemorial beasts, Su Exiner stood atop the blood-marked saber-toothed tiger. It let out a roar, its eyes turning scarlet, as it instantly entered a state of bloodthirsty frenzy. The other 2 immemorial beasts followed suit, enveloped by a whirl of blood chi. Long Chun, are you prepared to die? Shouted Su Exiner. I'm always prepared to die. But not because of you, said Long Chun indifferently. Long Chun had long since been mentally prepared. He knew that Su Exiner's violet gold bell was not a fighting eternal divine weapon. from the moment she first used it to grab the violet pupil nine-tail fox. Long Chun already knew that it was a special treasure with its own internal space. Although these three beasts were powerful, they didn't possess the level of power to instill fear in Long Chun. You fool! Do you think that Yifeng lost to your hands? He only lost to his own carelessness, unable to even unleash a tenth of his power. A single mistake set off a chain reaction from which he couldn't recover. If you were to truly fight, you wouldn't be a match for him, declared Su Exiner. It seemed that she felt that Su Yifeng's death was extremely unfair. If your Su family has a way to drag him from hell, I'll give him a chance to fight me fairly, said Long Chun. You! Su Exiner quivered with rage. After all, Su Yifeng was fully dead. Just how were they supposed to drag him back? Idiot, even now, have you not noticed? Everyone who exchanged blows with you was holding back. That's the only reason why you're still alive. Oh? Is that so? Long Chin acted like he had no idea. Su Exiner sneered. They're all holding back to fight for the karmic luck bead at the end. Stop spouting nonsense. In the distance, Lien Wuying's expression changed. She shouted sternly, sensing a foreboding unease creeping over her. I'm spouting nonsense? You idiots, you just watched as Su Yifeng died. Now you're going to criticize me. Su Exiner sneered. Clearly, Su Exiner harbored a deep-seated resentment toward everyone present. After all, they had only watched as Su Yifeng was slain. He can only blame himself for his death. He lacked the ability to fight yet still had to make himself stand out. His death cannot be blamed on others, sneered Lien Wuying. His death cannot be blamed on others? Then I can say whatever I want, and it won't have anything to do with you. So shut the fuck up, cursed Su Exiner. You are courting death. Lien Wuying's killing intent rose. You want to kill me? Let's see if you have that ability, taunted Su Exiner. She then turned back to Long Chin. All the peak experts here are holding back. They haven't even used half of their power because their goal is the karmic luck bead. Once the ceremony is complete, the karmic luck bead will explode. Then its fragments will fly out in every direction. Anyone who grabs them can absorb their karmic luck, and with that karmic luck dash. Shut up, you crazy bitch. Yi Wuchen roared furiously. He had the urge to kill Su Exiner right here and now. Numerous experts on the battlefield fell into a stupor. Su Exiner actually knew why this Sage King convention was different. Furthermore, it seemed that quite a few others also knew of it. Su Exiner seemed to have gone insane. It seemed that she was going for broke, wanting to expose the secret so that every person knew it. Hearing this, even the people attacking the Dragonblood Legion slowed down their assault. Shut up? Why should I shut up? You just watched as Su Yifeng died. You thought that it was a good chance to get rid of one of your competitors, didn't you? Fine, Su Yifeng is dead now. I, Su Exiner, am no longer interested in the karmic luck fragments. I only want Long Chen's death, but I won't let you take the upper hand either. Those who knew the secret in the Su family were only me and Su Yifeng. Less than 100 people in total knew of this. Hee. But rather than 100 people splitting the karmic luck bead, have fun splitting it with every single person here. Hey, you idiots! Others incited you to throw your lives away, and you didn't even realize why. You've all fallen for their trap dash. Suddenly, the void twisted, and a sword slashed through the air. Yi Wuchen finally couldn't endure it any longer. Even when Yi Wuchen attacked, Su Exiner didn't turn to look at him. Instead, the giant python beside her stuck out its long tongue, accurately wrapping it around him. Yi Wuchen's expression changed as a chill ran down his spine. At this moment, a sensation of death welled up within his heart. Yi Wuchen suddenly vanished, and the python's tongue missed. However, at that moment countless people let out startled cries. The python's tongue had left a dark streak in the air as it swept past, resembling a spatial crack that didn't heal for a long time. Heavens! Even the laws are being corroded. That python's tongue had to have some powerful poison on it. If one were ensnared by it, there might not be even a trace of their bones left behind. You want to silence me? Keep dreaming. The Su family's power isn't something that you can imagine. If you think that just because Su Yifeng is dead, the Su family is easy to bully, you are truly blind. In any case, I'm no longer after the karmic luck bead. But if I can't obtain it, I'm not going to let the rest of you obtain it for free. You idiots that are still fighting, stop being used by others. Your lives and blood are the key to activating the ceremony. Wouldn't it be better to save your energy for the final competition for the fragments of karmic luck? Your leaders view you merely as tools and sacrificial lambs, announced Su Exiner. Don't listen to her. She's gone insane. However, those shouts were ineffective. The people attacking the Dragonblood Legion retreated, all of them warily looking at each other. They didn't know who to listen to, but they felt that Su Exiner's words sounded more believable. A strange atmosphere covered the martial stage. Doesn't this mean that Long Chun and Emonian were right? Is this to say that Long Chun and Emonian were the ones trying to stop this and save everyone? But are they really that kind-hearted? Su Exiner is retaliating against Lien Wuying and the others for just watching as Su Yifeng died. She seems more believable. Countless experts began to discuss this amongst themselves. The human race in particular was in an uproar. Previously, the schemers had encouraged the human race's experts to attack Long Chun and the others. As the human race's experts had been the closest, they had taken the most hideous losses. Furthermore, they were then caught in the middle when the other race's experts arrived, and those experts also killed them indiscriminately. Now, from hundreds of millions of experts, they were reduced to a few 100,000. Those people were dumbfounded, their shock quickly transforming into fury. You fucking bastards! Who was the one shouting just now? I'll kill you! These people didn't blame themselves for being brainless, but they blamed those people who had been encouraging them. But in this chaotic battlefield, how could they know who was shouting? Everyone, don't believe her. She's on Long Chen's side. She's trying to help him out of his predicament. However, as soon as this person shouted, he sensed something off as countless scornful gazes turned his way. How could he possibly shout something so brainless? Long Chun and Su Exiner were on the same side, so he killed Su Yifeng? Did this idiot not see Su Exiner about to throw her life against Long Chun? That was the only reason why she had told everyone this. She didn't want her enemies to get the upper hand. Lien Wuying, Yi Wuchen, the Ghost Dao life form, and others had gloomy expressions, looking as if they wanted to tear Su Exiner apart. However, those three terrifying monsters around Su Exiner stopped them. Unless they all went together, those three monsters might have the ability to kill them if they made any rash moves. Moreover, although they hated Su Exiner, they were also peak experts with their own pride. They had never lowered themselves to working together with their peers. If you don't want others to get the upper hand, why not break the ceremony? Then no one will get a share of karmic luck. Wouldn't that be better? Asked Long Chen lightly. Ha 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 ha. Su Exiner laughed. Long Chun, do you take me for a fool? Do you want to use me? You idiot. Did you think destroying 3 light pillars would stop the ceremony? Once the ceremony starts, it cannot be stopped. Even if you break all the light pillars, it's useless. Blood soul energy is enough to activate the ceremony. Have you not noticed that the broken light pillars have reappeared? Long Chun was startled. Looking in the direction of the broken light pillars, he was shocked to see that they really had reappeared. However, those light pillars were different from before. They were very dim and had a faint layer of blood light on top of them. Without looking closely, it wouldn't have been noticeable. If the light pillars aren't enough, that can be made up for with people's lives. As long as enough people are killed, even if you destroy all the light pillars, the sacrificial ceremony will still go through. Of course, breaking 3 of the pillars means that more lives have to be sacrificed. If you were to break them all, 99% of the people here would need to lose their lives. This is a death trap with no way out. Until the karmic luck bead explodes, the martial stage's barrier will not disappear, and everyone will be trapped here until they die. All your struggling is useless. If you hadn't destroyed those 3 light pillars, the karmic luck bead might have already activated, said Su Exiner coldly. Long Chen's heart shook. His soul search hadn't provided him with this information, so it seemed that Su Exiner knew more than her brother. Long Chun didn't know if that was because Su Yifeng hadn't bothered memorizing this information, or if the family head simply pampered Su Exiner, resulting in him giving her access to exclusive knowledge. Long Chun, this woman might be telling the truth, transmitted Mo Nian. His battle with Yen Wuji had reached a stalemate. Mo Nian was dispirited. He had been keeping an eye on the entire martial stage all this time, but it seemed that just as Su Exiner said, there was no way out. The atmosphere inside of the martial stage was tense now, but the people outside were even more shocked, eyeing each other warily. They finally understood that this martial stage was only a sacrificial ceremony. Everyone inside was treated as a sacrificial lamb. The current Sage King convention was a trap, an absolutely enormous trap. However, they were powerless to do anything from outside. Forcibly attacking the barrier would only cause their own deaths. Hence, a lot of experts panicked like ants in a boiling pot, not knowing what to do. After all, not many factions had known of this secret. And now that they all realized that they had been used, they were enraged but also felt profoundly helpless. On the other hand, the High Firmament Academies sighed with relief upon seeing the battle come to a pause. Almost all of the seniors had sweaty palms out of worry for the Academy's disciples. Just now, that battle had really been frightening. The Dragonblood Legion side had been fighting against half of the lifeforms on the martial stage. That was an overwhelming force. Fortunately, they had managed to endure it. After a moment of shock, they couldn't help praising the Dragonblood Legion. Their combat power was absolutely astonishing. From top to bottom, they were experts amongst experts, elites amongst elites. Most shocking of all was that their cooperation was practically flawless. It was like thousands of them had the same heart, so all their power was perfectly concentrated. If they worked together, their killing power could even make innate heaven venerates quiver. With the fighting paused, the experts outside sighed with relief, and their attention switched to Long Chun and Su Exiner. Their next actions would affect the entire martial stage. What is your goal in telling me this? It seems that you are helping me. It couldn't be that you disliked Su Yifeng from the start, so you're grateful to me for getting rid of him, right? Asked Long Chun curiously. Su Exiner gritted her teeth furiously. Grateful to you? I want to tear you apart and drink your blood. I'm telling you this to end this senseless battle of attrition. Let's get to the main course. Oh? What main course? Asked Long Chun. Using some worthless lives to activate the karmic luck bead is essentially meaningless. Instead, I'm going to use all of your allies to activate the karmic luck bead. I want you to watch as everyone beside you dies one by one, said Su Exiner sinisterly. With your power, this grand aspiration will probably never become reality, said Long Chun indifferently. Is that so? I don't think so. The useless trash no longer wants to keep fighting and lose their lives. Now, they want the karmic luck as well. But if we slaughter your side, it'll be enough. We only need the peak experts to make their moves, and all of you will be killed, declared Su Exiner. Will they listen to your orders? Asked Long Chun. Of course not, but they have no other choice. Otherwise, we'll just be wasting time. Your people just went through a large battle and are exhausted. If the peak experts attack now, they won't stand a chance. Well, if they want to give your people some time to recover instead, I can't do anything about it. We'll just see whose patience is greater. Su Exiner turned to Lien Wuying and the others. You think you can just take advantage of the situation without putting in any work? Lien Wuying and the others' expressions were dark. They didn't reply, acting as if victory was in her grasp. Su Exiner turned back to Long Chun. You killed my brother, so I will let you watch as your family is killed one by one in front of you. I won't kill you right now, but I won't let you assist them. I'll show you what despair is, what it's called to feel powerless. Suddenly, Su Exiner's three beasts moved, surrounding Long Chun in their midst. The three beasts surrounded Long Chun. No matter where Long Chun positioned himself, he would be attacked in the back by one of them. Just now, Yi Wuchen had almost been struck by one of them, but fortunately he had retreated quickly. And now that all three of these beasts surrounded Long Chun, he was forced into a disadvantageous position. However, his expression still didn't change. His eyes didn't even twitch. I've surrounded Long Chun. As for whether or not you'll make your move, it's up to you. In any case, no one likes to be used as cannon fodder. Whether or not you want to activate the karmic luck bead is up to you, announced Su Exiner coldly. These words were clearly for Lien Wuying and the other peak experts. After all, Su Exiner's goal was only Long Chun, and she didn't care about the rest. As for what choice people made, it would be up to them. Lien Wuying and the others' expressions were dark, as they hadn't expected to be perfectly schemed against by Su Exiner. Originally, they had wanted to conserve their power for the final fight. But now, Su Exiner was forcing them to take action early as vengeance for them for sitting still while Sui Feng was slain. Actually, Lien Wuying and the others weren't afraid of fighting, but they were hoping to conserve their energy until the very end. At the very least, they wanted to be in top condition when the fight for the karmic luck fragments started. After all, those karmic luck fragments didn't just relate to their futures but also the prosperity of their factions. Since that was the case, they didn't dare to be careless. The original plan was to use the lives of the weaklings to activate the karmic luck bead. Everything had been going well, but Su Exiner just had to ruin things. As expected, these weaklings were not idiots. After hearing about the scheme, they were unwilling to throw their lives away. They also wanted to stay alive for the ultimate showdown. Although weaklings like them had extremely remote chances to get the fragments, there was still a glimmer of hope. Also, even if the odds were stacked against them, it was better than being manipulated and losing their lives needlessly. A hushed stillness enveloped the martial stage. Lien Wuying and the others remained still, primarily for two reasons. First, they wanted to conserve their energy for the big battle, and second, they didn't like being used by Su Exiner. Long Chun also didn't move, waiting for news from Immonyen. Immonyen had told Long Chun to stall for time to see if he could think of a way to break this formation. Time passed by slowly. Finally, it was Lien Wuying who lost her patience. Su Exiner, when the Sage King convention ends, if you're not dead, I will teach you what is more painful than death. With a wave of her hand, hundreds of undying experts stepped out. They were all triple supremes, the strongest heavenly geniuses of the races within the undying race. When hundreds of these peak experts gathered, Lien Wuying didn't say anything else. She only looked at the others. Yi Wuchen snorted and also stepped forward with over 100 heavenly geniuses of the Yi clan. At the same time, the void quivered as the ghost Tao life form appeared with hundreds of ghost-like figures behind him. Next, over 10 experts of the devil race stepped forward, leading thousands of other heavenly geniuses of their races. Several of them also walked out of the neutral area. At this crucial time, they were no longer permitted to conserve their power. The Black Tortoise race also stepped forward, then the Heavenly Tiger race and the Kunping race. Dozens of experts within the demonic beast race stepped forward, actually outnumbering the devil race. However, when the full moon race stepped forward, startled cries rang out. They weren't assembling with them but were walking toward the Dragonblood Legion's camp. What is going on? Countless people were stunned. In front of their dumbfounded gazes, Su Chongchuan led the full moon race's experts into Long Chen's camp, settling down amongst them. Full moon race, are you betraying the demonic beast race? Do you take others as idiots? My full moon race exists to fight people like you, not the demonic beast race. We will get justice for the brave demonic beast warriors who died wrongful deaths because of you. Is there a problem? Sneered Su Chongchuan. You! The one shouting was left at a loss for words. There was nothing he could do. Su Chongchuan was now standing on the side of the Dragonblood Legion, and he was going to fight them. As for the demonic beasts standing on the opposite side of the full moon race, although their individual races were powerful, they still couldn't represent the entire demonic beast race. By stepping forward at this time, they had essentially admitted that they had long since known about this sacrificial ceremony. In other words, they had allowed other demonic beasts to die in order to quicken the pace of the ceremony. There was no room for them to criticize the full moon race. Aligning with Long Chun at this juncture couldn't be regarded as a betrayal toward the entire demonic beast race. In fact, it was a decision made under the banner of justice, righteousness, and seeking retribution for the wrongs done to the fallen demonic beasts. At this moment, the void quivered and thousands of large men over 10 meters walked over. All of them were thick and muscular, wearing beast hides like savages. When the onlookers saw these people, they were stunned badly. These giants were from the barbarian race. Having been at the edge of the martial stage the entire time, no one had paid them any attention. But now that they stepped out, they made everyone jump in shock. In fact, the barbarian race's history could be traced all the way back to the primal chaos era. It was said that they had once been in command of an era, and their power was not something that anyone dared to question. However, in the recent era they almost vanished without a trace. Many people thought that they had gone extinct. Now, seeing these large muscular men with blood chi practically exploding out of them, the onlookers almost couldn't believe what they were seeing. However, what they found curious was how no one had noticed such conspicuous figures before this. Their footsteps caused the void to quiver. They were like elephants walking across wooden planks. People were even worried that one of their steps would cause the void to collapse. They only had a few thousand people on their side, a paltry number compared to all the other races here. But to everyone's surprise, 8 of them were actually carrying a giant bed, on which lay a large man covered in blood-colored marks. This man was sleeping blissfully on the bed, his snoring like thunder. He was completely unaware of being lifted and carried by these experts as he was lost in dreamland. Wild! Upon seeing that large man, Long Chun couldn't help getting excited, his eyes reddening. He had been worrying a long time about this foolish oaf, and he actually appeared at this time. Furthermore, he seemed very comfortable. Wild! Guoran, Xiachun, and the others all shouted in excitement. They hadn't seen Wild in a long time, and the latter had grown a great deal. Although he was sleeping, they could see that he was far larger than the barbarian experts carrying him. "Our king is still asleep. He can't be awakened," said one of the barbarian warriors a bit helplessly. Guoran and the others hastily welcomed Wild and his entourage. All the Dragonblood warriors were emotional. Although Wild was normally very amiable and had a simple disposition, when they saw his current state, their hearts were shaken. Wild had grown even more than before, his blood chi akin to a slumbering volcano. Once it erupted, it could destroy the entire world. Standing beside him, they could sense the blood flowing through his body. It was like lava, and they could even hear its rumbling. Wild remained in deep slumber, and his body was in its lowest energy state. Even so, his body still thrummed with power. If he were to be roused, just what kind of state would he be in? "When is he going to wake up?" asked Guoran. "Our king encountered a group of heavenly tigers 10 days ago. After eating his fill, he fell asleep and has been sleeping ever since," said that barbarian warrior. "What? You were the ones who killed Snow Mountain's heavenly tiger branch?" A roar came from the heavenly tiger race's ranks. The heavenly tiger race actually had 2 major branches. One stationed in the Life-Forbidden area and the other stationed in the Thousand Gate Snow Mountain. For the Sage King Convention, both branches had made plans to come together. However, the branch from the Life-Forbidden area had arrived at the meeting spot and waited for a long time, but the Snow Mountains branch failed to show up. After that, they were unable to find them. Now hearing that this branch had encountered the barbarian race, the Heavenly Tiger race's experts were enraged. "We didn't kill them." That barbarian warrior shook his head. "Then where are they?" "Here." The warrior pointed at Wild's stomach. "What are you talking about?" demanded the Heavenly Tiger race's experts. "Our king ate them. 300,000 tigers were consumed. He ate to the point of bursting, which is why he's been sleeping for 10 days, said the warrior. The Dragonblood warriors' jaws dropped. They were well aware of Wild's appetite, but to have devoured 300,000 demonic beasts, it was an astonishing feat beyond their wildest expectations. However, all the barbarian race's experts seemed like the honest sort. They didn't come across as individuals who would fabricate such a claim. The people outside the martial stage were dumbfounded as well. That was the heavenly tiger race they were talking about. Their branch had to have dispatched multiple innate heaven venerates and thousands of world kings to stand guard over their group. How could they all be eaten? How could they believe that? "You're spouting bullshit," roared the heavenly tiger race's expert. "No, our barbarian race doesn't spout bullshit. It's barbarian shit," said the barbarian race's warrior openly. "You!" That heavenly tiger expert quivered with rage, believing that he was being deliberately taunted. However, in truth, he was wrongly blaming this pure warrior. The barbarian race's people didn't have the brain capacity for that. "Brother, what's your name?" Guaran particularly liked this group of barbarian experts. "I'm called Windy. When my mother gave birth to me, the wind was particularly strong, so she called me Windy," said the barbarian warrior a bit awkwardly, scratching his head. That appearance was practically identical to that of Wild, so those familiar with Wild instantly felt close to this barbarian warrior. "Hey, what is your barbarian race doing? Are you planning on joining Long Chen's side and becoming enemies with all of us?" shouted Yiwuchen. Windy shook his head. "I don't know. Our leader already told us to listen to our king, and our king has said to listen to his brother Long for everything." "What kind of nonsense is that?" Yiwuchen frowned. He didn't even understand what this barbarian warrior was saying. "Sorry, my head is slow. I don't really know how to explain it. Why don't you wait for our king to wake up? Then you can just ask him yourselves," said Windy apologetically. "Shut up. Since you want to stand on that side, just await your death," shouted someone impatiently. Although the barbarian race had a terrifying reputation, these warriors looked like fools. Hence, despite being frighteningly large, they didn't seem threatening. "Thank you for your care. Our barbarian race likes eating meat and we have large appetites. We have plenty of fat, so we won't starve to death," said Windy obediently. Looking at his sincere appearance, Baishirshir and the others almost burst into laughter. As for the one speaking, he gritted his teeth in rage, thinking that Windy was intentionally making fun of him. "Brother Windy, don't waste words on him. When they come, just beat them up," said Guaran. "All right." Windy smiled simply. The barbarian race joined their ranks just like that and found a place for Wild to lie down. This large oaf was still snoring loudly. According to Windy, their king particularly liked to eat. One meal for him was a full day's food for thousands of them. However, last time he had eaten too much. Thus, he needed to enter a state of slumber to properly digest it. When they asked them just how many powerful experts Wild had consumed, Windy and the others could only look at them in confusion. They didn't know cultivation-based realms and only knew the size of the meat. The others were also stupefied by this response, so they had no way to figure out just what level of experts Wild had consumed. During this time, more powerful experts had gathered. The Shadow Race's princess, the Netherworld's experts, and the Blood Race's heavenly geniuses all stepped forward. Within the human race, the other experts of the Eternal clans other than Yiwuchen also came forward. The only ones who didn't were the Jiang clan and the Long clan. "What are the Jiang and Long clans planning? We're all moving out. Are you still planning to conserve your power? Are you not afraid of being attacked by everyone when the time comes?" sneered a heavenly genius of the Zhao clan. This Zhao clan expert had not made a single move during this time. Although other heavenly geniuses of the Zhao clan had fought, he had remained hidden this entire time. But now that everyone was forced to make their move, he had no choice but to also come forward. "The Jiang clan does not wish to participate in this matter." Feng Fei stepped forward with a smile. "What does that mean?" demanded the Zhao clan's heavenly genius. "Nothing. My Jiang clan's guts are small. To tell the truth, I'm a bit afraid of that fellow. I don't want to offend him, but you, Zhao Xingtian, don't need to worry. When I say that the Jiang clan does not wish to participate in this matter, it means that we won't attack Long Chun, and we also won't participate in the fight for karmic luck fragments. To put it frankly, we are waiving our right to this opportunity," said Feng Fei lightly. Countless people's expressions changed. Just what was going on with the eternal Jiang clan? Including Feng Fei, the Jiang clan had 3 peak heavenly geniuses. That might not be the strongest lineup amongst the 8 eternal clans, but in terms of the overall power of the junior generation, they could rank in the top 3. With this power, they chose to give up this chance. It was incomprehensible. It had to be known that despite the barbarian race and the full moon race joining Long Chen's side, the situation was still dire for them. The power disparity was so immense that there was no comparison between the two. After all, this would be a battle of the strongest experts. Ordinary experts would be instantly slain. Perhaps Long Chen's people could endure a bit longer, but the Starry River sect, the High Firmament Academy, the Battle God Palace, and the other disciples who had gone to reinforce Long Chen would be instantly wiped out. Furthermore, with their deaths, their blood-soul energy would activate the karmic luck bead. After that, everyone would be able to easily snatch its fragments. In other words, there was no need for them to kill an apex expert like Long Chen. They just needed to kill the weaklings beneath him to get all the benefits. However, Feng Fei didn't want such an opportunity. Alright, you're the one who said that. If you can't help but join in the fight at the end, don't blame us when we crush you together, sneered Zhao Xingtian. Don't worry, my Jiang clan always keeps our word. In this aspect, your Zhao clan cannot compare, retorted Feng Fei. You! Zhao Xingtian's expression sank. Feng Fei was mocking the Zhao clan, slapping them in the face in front of all these people. However, Zhao Xingtian could at least count as smart and didn't argue with Feng Fei. Instead, he turned to Long Outyin. Just as he was about to speak, Long Outyin coldly said, "Shut your mouth, or I'll kill you." Long Outyin had spoken to Long Chen in the beginning and then never made a move again. He had been in the Long clan's camp the entire time, watching everything play out. After Zhao Xingtian eyed the Jiang clan and the Jiang clan said that they would not participate, he turned to the Long clan, only for Long Outyin to directly threaten him. You! Zhao Xingtian was naturally enraged. Shut your mouth. I, Long Outyin, do not need anyone to judge my actions, nor do I need to explain my actions to anyone. Do what you want to do and I will do what I want to do. No one can force me to do anything. My target is Long Chen. I will kill Long Chen, and I will also take the karmic luck fragments. Anyone who blocks my path will be slain by me. You, Zhao Xingtian, should do your best not to test me, or this day next year will be the anniversary of your death, said Long Outyin coldly. Long Chen is already being dealt with by Su Xiner. Are you not just trying to take advantage while everyone else fights? Sneered Zhao Xingtian. Su Xiner? That trash? She thinks that a snake, a chick, and a kitten are enough to stop Long Chen. What a joke. If Long Chen really was so weak, I'd have long since killed him, sneered Long Outyin. The immemorial beasts. The storm heaven devouring python, the blue-eye golden scale eagle, and the blood-marked saber-toothed tiger were actually called a snake, a chick, and a kitten by Long Outyin. Who do you think you are to criticize my house pets? Shouted Su Xiner. You are all idiots. You don't even know how foolish you are, sneered Long Outyin. Ignoring her, he looked at Long Chen. How long are you planning on hiding your power? Is it interesting constantly pretending to be the pig to eat the tiger? I have never pretended to be the pig to eat the tiger. I disdain doing such a thing. However, my battles are never fair, and I always have so many enemies. It's never one against one. So I have no choice but to use my power smartly in order to deal with unknown dangers. If the heavens gave me a chance to have a fair fight, I'd directly unleash my full power in the simplest, most direct manner. Unfortunately, the heavens do not give me such a chance, said Long Chen indifferently. Long Chen was different from others. In a fight like this, he had to conserve his energy. Not only did he have to calculate his own energy stores, but he also had to calculate the energy of his companions as well. He couldn't afford any miscalculations because every mistake meant the loss of lives. Long Outyin and the others could fight recklessly because they had numbers. They had no misgivings and also didn't care about the life and death of the ones around them. What a joke! In front of absolute power, all schemes are worthless, sneered Long Outyin. That's right. Since you're so confident, why don't you directly kill all the others, and then we can have a fair one-on-one fight, proposed Long Chen. You! Who doesn't know how to brag? You want a fair fight with me, but you're also afraid of it. You've already lost to me countless times. You have no confidence to win against me, so you are waiting for me to exhaust a certain amount of energy before fighting me, said Long Chun disdainfully. Bullshit. This time, Long Outyen's face twisted with anger. After all, Long Chen's words were like a poisoned needle stabbing his heart. That was because all those words were true. Last time, in the underground tomb, he and Long Chun had fought a heaven-shaking battle, and that had been the moment when he was the most confident because he had improved immensely. From the mortal world to the immortal world, he had long since undergone a complete transformation and was no longer the old Long Outyen. He had been 100% confident back then but was still defeated by Long Chun. This time he had once more made major breakthroughs. Even the Long clan's ancestral patriarch said that he was the most talented genius that he had ever seen in this lifetime. In the current world, it was very difficult to find someone who could fight him in the same realm. It could be said that in the entire Long clan, he was the only one to receive the recognition of the patriarch. Hence, he had come to the Sage King convention with great confidence, but for some reason, the moment he saw Long Chun, that rock-solid confidence began to shake. In truth, at this moment, there were two voices in Long Outyen's mind, one telling him to attack Long Chun right now, to crush him in the most convincing manner. However, there was also another voice telling him not to be brash, that he wasn't a match for Long Chun, that if he wanted to beat Long Chun, he had to wait until Long Chun had revealed some weakness. Long Outyen had not said anything all this time precisely because these two voices were arguing inside of him. They were like the whispers of the devil, almost driving him insane. Although he looked calm on the surface, his inner heart was in turmoil. He didn't know what to do. To have this vulnerability laid bare by Long Chun left Long Outyen fuming and in a state of panic. He could no longer maintain control over his emotions. There was no way around it as he had been defeated by Long Chun too many times, leading to the birth of a heart devil. Although the Long clan had used every means necessary to help him suppress his heart devil, he was still unable to fully erase his fear of Long Chun. In fact, someone in the Long clan even suggested sealing Long Outyen until Long Chun was dead. However, someone in the Long clan also said that this was the worst possible choice. If Long Chun did die, Long Outyen's heart devil would never be fully erased. Thus, Long Outyen had come for Long Chun. He had to personally defeat Long Chun, as that was his only way to become a peerless expert. However, Long Chen's words had struck him in his weakest spot. Seeing his twisted expression, the Long clan's experts outside the martial stage couldn't help but sigh. If there really is no other choice, perhaps we must injure Long Chun for Long Outyen to kill him, said one of the Long clan's elders. If Long Chun was present, he would instantly recognize that this person was the 8th protector elder of the Long clan who had gone to see him. Other than him, there were several other elders with auras as vast as seas. They were all clearly innate heaven venerates. One elder in particular looked like the leader. This elder's expression was solemn, and he appeared dignified and imposing. They are both sons of the Long clan. Why must they kill each other? The patriarch's vision does not go far enough this time, said the elder, looking at Long Chun with a complicated expression. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the surrounding elders underwent drastic changes. Was this not criticizing the patriarch? Grand Elder, that's a bit rebellious. Are you not afraid of the patriarch hearing of it? Said the 8th protector elder. It is the truth. What can he do if he hears of it? Good criticism is hard to swallow, and the words of the most loyal people are the hardest to take. Unfortunately, the patriarch always has people who only know how to sweet-talk around him. Those people have truly harmed the Long clan. That elder snorted coldly. This elder was the leader of the 8 Grand Protector Elders, and his status was exceedingly high. In fact, it was said that he was of the same seniority as the patriarch. Thus, his status was particularly special in the Long clan. The other elders' expressions twitched, but they didn't say a word. Inside their hearts, though, they resented this elder. However, despite this, they didn't dare to even look at him for fear of him sensing it. The Grand Elder also didn't look at the 8 elders. Instead, he was staring at Long Chun and Long Outyen. At this time, Long Outyen's hand slowly clenched the hilt of his sword, and his terrifying killing intent slowly flowed out. Long Chun looked at Long Outyen and indifferently said, "In your eyes, I see your anger, and I also see your fear. You wish to beat me, but you are also afraid of failure. You want to attack me in my top condition to fully wipe out your heart devil, but you also don't feel guaranteed to win. You don't want to fail and you don't dare to fail. You fear that if you fail once more, you will never rise again, having no courage to fight me again. You feel very conflicted. The most important reason for this conflict is that you have no confidence in beating me." "Shut your mouth," Long Outyen roared. The hand holding his sword quivered, but he didn't draw it. "How cowardly. You don't even have the courage to fight, but you act like some big shot. Long Chen's life is mine. None of you can take it. If you keep wasting time talking, those people will fully recover. Do you even want to activate the karmic luck bead anymore?" interjected Su Exiner impatiently. "Long Chun, you've really pissed me off. Well done. I'll show what a life worse than death is." Long Outyen suddenly smiled sinisterly, his gaze turning to the Dragon Blood Legion. The next moment, 5-colored divine radiance appeared behind Long Outyen, and a powerful pressure erupted. In an instant, Long Chen's expression changed, and a cold murderous intent appeared in his eyes. "Long Outyen, you despicable animal." Long Outyen sneered. He instantly found Long Chen's weak point and shot toward the Dragon Blood Legion. Courting death. Long Chen was enraged. Not daring to fight him directly, Long Outyen actually went to attack the Dragon Blood Legion. "Stay behind." Just as Long Chen moved, Su Exener sneered and the 3 immemorial beasts attacked him at the same time. "Die!" With a resounding dragon roar, Long Chen's dragon claw extended out of his divine ring. This giant dragon claw reached toward the tiger that Su Exiner was sitting on. To her surprise, she found that her tiger was suddenly unable to move. Long Chen's roar contained the divine true dragon's might. As a true dragon was the emperor of all beasts, even immemorial beasts were intimidated by it. As a result, these 3 immemorial beasts were instantly suppressed by Long Chen's dragon might. Although Long Chun did not belong to the dragon race and did not possess a true dragon's physique, his indomitable will, when combined with his dragon blood, gave rise to a unique form of dragon might that was equally capable of subduing other beasts. This dragon might would only last for the blink of an eye and might not have as much range, but it was enough for Long Chun. When the dragon claw fell, the blood-marked saber-toothed tiger didn't even manage to make a sound. It was torn apart by the dragon claw, its blood and bones flying through the air. "What?" The ones watching were shocked. Such a terrifying existence was killed in one blow? This made them think of what Long Outyen had just said, that Su Exiner was dreaming if she thought that these 3 beasts could block Long Chun. Now, this scene proved that Long Outyen was right. Su Exiner fled the moment the dragon claw fell, narrowly avoiding this attack. Her face turned pale. She had just been a bit away from being annihilated. "Spiritual seal made of blood. I call you back." Violet chi erupted out of Su Exiner, and her other 2 beasts suddenly had runes explode on their foreheads. The seals suppressing their strength were undone. Astonishingly, Su Exiner undid the restraints on their power, ignoring the danger of them potentially rebelling against her. At this moment, those 2 beasts exploded in power. People were shocked to find that they were both existences in the innate heaven-venerate realm. Boom! After their seals were undone, the storm heaven-devouring python opened its mouth, causing a giant vortex that enveloped Long Chun and Su Exiner. Shockingly, with its seal undone, it no longer cared about its master. Long Chun had been planning on chasing after Long Outyen after killing the blood-marked saber-toothed tiger, but that vortex was actually pulling at him, trying to suck him in and preventing him from flying away. He was enraged. "Boss, leave these 3 to me." Just then, some light flowed around Long Chun, and he was pulled outside of that vortex. Long Chun turned to see that Bai Shaola had come, his eyes bearing 3 swirling flowers. Long Chun could also see a little fox sitting on his shoulder. "Will you be all right?" Long Chun was a bit worried. "Don't worry. Her violet gold bell is a treasure, and it's going to be mine. Us two brothers will avenge our previous disgrace," said Bai Shaola before the violet pupil nine-tail fox could say anything. "That damn woman. After offending Boss 9, your retribution has come today." All of a sudden, the violet pupil nine-tail fox's body expanded, reverting to its original size. As a legendary desolate species, it was renowned in history. Now, with its true form summoned, it emanated an intimidating aura, its 9 tails flickering like soaring flames. The next moment, the violet pupil nine-tail fox opened its mouth, and a blood-colored ray of divine light shot toward the vortex of the storm heaven devouring python. Boom! The storm heaven devouring python's divine ability was interrupted, and it was sent flying. Die! Su Exiner was startled to see the violet pupil nine-tail fox coming. Standing atop the blue-eye gold scale eagle's head, she made it attack the violet pupil nine-tail fox. However, Su Exiner was pale now, and violet blood oozed out of her eyes. Having undone the seals on her immemorial beasts, once more gaining control of them came at a terrifying price. "Shaola!" When the violet pupil nine-tail fox shouted, Bai Shaola immediately formed hand seals. 3 flower marks also appeared in the violet pupil nine-tail fox's eyes. 3 flower wall. Both the violet pupil nine-tail fox and Bai Shaola shouted at the same time, and the 3 flowers in both their pupils spun. The void then quivered, and a giant 3-flower diagram appeared in the void like a translucent shield. Boom! This shield appeared out of nowhere, catching everyone off guard. Alas, Su Exiner had sent the blue-eye gold scale eagle charging over, leading it to smash into this 3-flower shield. The impact caused the shield to shudder and giant ripples to spread along with an explosion of feathers. The collision tore apart nearly half of the blue-eye gold scale eagle's body. As for Su Exiner, she had managed to summon the violet gold bell just in time, bouncing off the shield. Although she had preserved her own life, she was left dazed. Su Exiner was horrified, having never expected the little fox that she had wanted as a house pet back then would actually possess such terrifying power. It was even capable of unleashing pupil arts. With her courage broken, she no longer had her previous arrogance or confidence. She actually turned around and fled. "Where do you think you're going? Hand over that bell first," the violet pupil nine-tail fox roared. Its 9 tails quivered, and it prepared to chase after her. However, just then, the storm heaven devouring python appeared beneath its feet, binding it. 9-tail lock shed. The violet pupil nine-tail fox's tails then lit up in various vibrant colors. Before the storm heaven devouring python could unleash any divine ability, it was blown apart by the 9 tails. "Hand over the bell." After escaping the bindings, the violet pupil nine-tail fox shot after Su Exiner. Bai Shaola stood on the violet pupil nine-tail fox's head, their pupils interconnected, their souls unified. This was a merger art that only existed in legend, so no one had personally witnessed this technique. Bai Shaola's soul had melded with the violet pupil nine-tail fox's soul. Hence, it was no longer a contract, but a mutual trust and unwavering support in one another. The violet pupil nine-tail fox's power began to unfurl gradually, and its former strength gradually resurfaced. Most importantly, it was now linked with Bai Shaola's 3 flower pupils. That was like adding wings to a tiger. Previously, it had always been dissatisfied with Bai Shaola, feeling like it had been tricked. It wished that it could undo the contract between them. However, last time when Su Exiner wanted to take it, Bai Shaola had unleashed his full power, at the risk of destroying his eyes to resist an eternal divine weapon, and that had finally won the violet pupil nine-tail fox over. Without that blockade in its heart, it sincerely accepted Bai Shaola, and the two finally formed a resonance. The violet pupil nine-tail fox chased after Su Exiner rapidly. In just a short moment it caught up. Boom! The violet pupil nine-tail fox's claws raked across the violet gold bell, sending it flying. As for Su Exiner, she coughed up blood and was blown away. At this time, countless experts of the Su family came charging over to help Su Exiner. However, the violet pupil nine-tail fox's aura was overwhelming them. Seeing that they stood no chance against the two of them, Long Chun didn't worry about them anymore. With a flap of his wings, he shot after Long Outyin like a bolt of lightning. His speed was higher than Long Outyin's. Boom! The void collapsed. However, Long Outyin snorted and suddenly dodged to the side, refusing to fight Long Chun. You want to conserve your energy? We'll see if you have that ability. Long Chun once more shot after him. Long Chun left behind a series of lingering afterimages. In just 3 swift turns, he appeared right in front of Long Outyin. His speed was astounding, rendering him nearly imperceptible to the naked eye. Boom! A golden fist shot out of those afterimages and smashed into Long Outyin. Long Outyin was sent flying. But what shocked Long Chun was that the moment his fist landed, 5-colored divine radiance lit up on top of Long Outyin's body, blocking 80% of the force behind his attack. It had to be known that Long Chen's attack power was incredibly concentrated. So he was amazed that this 5-colored divine light could dissipate so much of his force. On the other hand, although Long Outyin was sent flying, he wasn't injured at all. Seeing Long Chen's shocked expression, he sneered, "Do you see? This is the power of the 7-color supreme blood. With the Patriarch's help, I have fully activated it." Su Exiner's words really helped me see the light. Killing you directly is letting you off too easily. I will only kill you once you are suffering endless pain. You don't dare to fight me directly, so you make up a bunch of excuses. Long Outyin, you really fail to live up to your name, retorted Long Chun. You want to anger me? Once I kill your women one by one in front of you, we'll see if you're still in the mood to do such a thing. Ha ha ha. Long Outyin suddenly shot in another direction, attacking the Dragonblood Legion from another angle. Kill everyone related to Long Chun. Just then, Lien Wuying shouted coldly. She then led the Undying Race's experts in a direct charge against the Dragonblood Legion. Ignore Long Chun. We just need to crush them, and in a few breaths' time they'll all be killed, shouted the leader of the Black Tortoise race. Attack together. Don't hold back, shouted Yi Wuchen, leading the Yi clan's disciples over. Hundreds of thousands of experts attacked at once, causing the entire martial stage to shake. The next moment, immense pressures rose, as if they would blow up the barrier. All the life forms inside the barrier were stupefied by what they were seeing. Even before the great battle actually commenced, their auras already stunned them. These experts were the strongest heavenly geniuses present, each of them a triple supreme. In unison, they summoned their manifestations, causing the world to change color. The real battle starts now. Meng Qi and the others also grew serious, and all of them entered their combat state. Suddenly, Long Chun stopped pursuing Long Outyin. With a flash, he appeared in front of the Dragonblood Legion, his hand raised and a clump of white flames rising in his palm. Sacred chanting reverberated, their echoes spreading throughout heaven and earth. At the same time, the martial stage's barrier quivered, and flame energy poured through the barrier toward Long Chun. What? Long Chun can absorb the outside world's energy through the barrier. In an instant, a white flame lotus grew in Long Chun's hand, radiating terrifying heat that washed over the martial stage, making numerous experts feel like they were in a sea of fire. However, within this sea of fire, snowflakes materialized, imparting a dual sensation of scorching heat and bone-chilling cold, leaving those within it feeling as if they might combust from the intensity of these conflicting extremes. Seeing that white lotus, Lien Wuying and the others were horrified. Moreover, Lien Wuying had already experienced the power of the Ice Soul. At that time, Long Chun had used it in a very simple manner to escape her bindings. However, now that he was using its full power, the difference between the two was enormous. Block it together! Zhao Xingtian and the others cried out, as that white lotus made them smell the scent of death. As a result, hundreds of thousands of experts came to a stop together, summoning an array of protective shields in the air, while their manifestations raged on. Hundreds of thousands of peak experts had summoned defenses for one person's attack. Just this point alone had proved the terrifying power of Long Chen's technique. "World extermination flame lotus," Long Chen shouted, and his enormous white lotus descended with a resounding crash that rattled the ears of everyone present. Just as everyone was expecting an immense collision, a flabbergasting scene played out. Long Chen's world extermination flame lotus actually flew over their heads, avoiding their defenses. He missed. Everyone inside and outside the martial stage was dumbfounded. How could he miss with a technique of such immense scale? No, his target is dash. Suddenly, a shocked cry pierced the air, and the white lotus fell toward a large group of individuals, who happened to be the Devil Race's army. "Run!" Horrified screams rang out from the Devil Race's army. However, by the time they realized what was going on, they found that the space around them was twisting, and they felt like their bodies were bound by stars. They simply couldn't run. Boom! The flame lotus exploded amongst the Devil Race's army, and huge flames devoured an enormous space. In this space, the flames raged uncontrollably, reducing countless devil experts to ice fragments. The ice fragments then drifted, akin to snowflakes set ablaze. Not a drop of blood, nor a single scream echoed. All the others could see was the fiery remnants of the Devil Race's army in ice. The intense heat actually caused the barrier to buckle, as if it was melting. Following that, an even more shocking scene occurred. The karmic luck bead at the center of the martial stage exploded. "Let's go!" Xiachen shouted, and the Dragonblood Legion vanished, reappearing right beside the karmic luck bead. The entire martial stage was thrown into chaos as people saw runes flying out of the karmic luck bead. Those were the karmic luck fragments that everyone wanted. Grab them! All the life forms on the stage went crazy, flooding toward the karmic luck bead from all directions. However, Long Chen wasn't even looking at the karmic luck bead but below it. A dark gate had appeared there. "Long Chen, it has appeared." Nian's voice resounded in Long Chen's mind, trembling with fear. Long Chen, too, felt a chill when he saw that ominous gate. An intense feeling of mortal crisis overwhelmed him. When the gate slowly opened, a sinister voice rang out from the other side. "Ha ha ha! I'm finally free. Damn human race, kneel and repent." When the giant gate slowly opened, it felt like the gates of hell were opening. A terrifying voice then came from the other side, shaking everyone. Along with that voice, there was also a surge of primal chaos chi. It just burst out of the gate, practically filling the entire Sage King prefecture. This primal chaos chi rejuvenated all the life forms present, no matter the race. Even the senior heaven venerates felt their bottlenecks loosening. Every life form present instantly felt full of power. After all, the primal chaos chi possessed a powerful connection with the laws of heaven and earth, silently nourishing every expert present. The complete laws of heaven and earth. Screams of excitement rang out. This surge of primal chaos chi actually contained the complete laws of heaven and earth. It was what loosened the bottlenecks that had bound them for countless years. In other words, many experts who had resigned themselves to never making further progress in their lifetimes now saw a renewed hope of reaching greater heights. However, the human race's experts were unable to shout in excitement. They also sensed that dense primal chaos chi and their bottlenecks loosening, but compared to that terrifying voice, none of that counted for anything. "An eternal expert!" A terrified cry rang out from amongst the human race. Although that voice came from through the gate, they could still sense the air of eternity coming from the voice, terrifying them. The master of this voice might very likely be an eternal expert. The karmic luck bead at the heart of the martial stage had exploded, sending fragments of karmic luck flying out in every direction. However, the core of the karmic luck bead was still intact, as what had exploded was only its outer edge. The karmic luck bead still slowly spun, though it appeared to struggle, as if some unseen force constrained its movement. The enormous gate slowly creaked open, but the gate seemed far too heavy. Only the tiniest crack opened, rendering everyone guessing what was inside. However, as it opened, more primal chaos chi gushed into the world, stimulating the Sage King Prefecture's vegetation to grow crazily. Just like that, the entire world thrummed with life as the primal chaos chi caused this place to completely transform. Kill! At this moment, countless lifeforms charged toward the karmic luck bead. The gate was of little concern to them. Their sole focus was on acquiring the karmic luck fragments. As the runes flew through the air, people reached out and grabbed them. The moment someone made contact with one of the runes, it would seamlessly merge into their bodies. However, just as they grabbed them, they were quickly slain, and the runes were once again set free. When people saw that they could get the runes through killing, madness overcame the crowd, leading to a brutal bloodbath. As they crazily grabbed the runes, they also mercilessly slaughtered one another. As a result, the weaker ones who managed to grab even a single rune were killed ruthlessly. It didn't matter whether they came from the same race or family. They got the most. Kill them. A human expert eyed the Dragonblood Legion's side. As they were the closest to the karmic luck eruption, their bodies had divine radiance flowing around them, clearly a sign of absorbing many karmic luck runes. Hence, everyone's eyes went red when looking at them. Long Chun had long since told Xia Chun to be prepared. The moment Long Chun killed a large batch of the Devil Race's experts, Xia Chun activated a transportation formation. As a result, they arrived just in time for the karmic luck fragments to erupt, successfully snatching the first wave. Shortly thereafter, they had managed to get a lot of those fragments. The likes of Meng Qi, Chu Yao, and the others had each acquired tens of thousands of those runes. We're going! As Xiaqin shouted, space twisted and everyone on the Dragonblood Legion's side once more vanished. Those attacking experts wound up attacking nothing but air. As for the Dragonblood Legion and the others, they had already arrived beside the martial stage's barrier. This was where they had originally been. Xiaqin had used a fixed transportation formation to bring them back to the same location. It was precisely because it was a fixed transportation formation that he was able to do such a large-scale transportation. Although the distance wasn't particularly far, due to their numbers and strength, it was incredibly taxing. Xiaqin's heart was dripping blood from the 3,000 formation discs he had just used for these two transportations. After all, crafting each formation disc required a considerable investment in both materials and labor. Such an enormous expenditure aggrieved him. Nevertheless, this expenditure allowed them to devour the majority of the runes, so every single one of them had profited immensely. Unfortunately, the crowd had come too quickly, giving them little time. If they had been given a bit more time, they could have devoured all the runes. Xiaqin and the others managed to successfully retreat. However, the core region was now in chaos. These life forms were crazily slaughtering each other for the karmic luck fragments. The situation was too chaotic. More blood was spilled with every passing moment, resulting in an incredibly gory scene. Long Chun paid no heed to the chaos around, his gaze fixated on the gate. However, he still couldn't see anything through the small crack. Although primal chaos chi was pouring out of it and replenishing the energy of this world, filling the whole of this world, Long Chun kept feeling an intense sensation of crisis. Die! Just then, an explosive cry came from the violet pupil nine-tail fox and a shriek followed. Su Xiner was killed by its sharp claw. As Su Xiner had been slain, the violet gold bell was grabbed by the violet pupil nine-tail fox. It then shouted in excitement, directly hanging the bell around its neck. Shaola, little nine, let's work together to see what's behind the gate, transmitted Long Chun. Piece of cake. The violet pupil nine-tail fox laughed. It was particularly arrogant now, as if it felt unrivaled. Buzz. The very fabric of space quivered, and Long Chun appeared atop the violet pupil nine-tail fox's head. By Shaola then formed hand seals, and the three flowers in his eyes spun, looking at that crack in the gate. Long Chun and the violet pupil nine-tail fox closed their eyes together, borrowing by Shaola's eyes to look at that crack. Through the crack, Long Chun saw a thriving world. The sky was a perfect azure blue, as if freshly cleansed. The verdant mountains and cerulean waters crafted a scene of a wonderland. Look down. Long Chun couldn't look further, so he had Bai Shaola look down. As their line of sight descended, Long Chun suddenly let out a pained grunt, while Bai Shaola and the violet pupil nine-tail fox screamed. The violet pupil nine-tail fox's eyes were bleeding. "What did you see?" asked Nian. "Endless monsters of the devil race. They're right at the gate, and just a look almost made our souls collapse," responded Long Chun. "We must destroy the karmic luck bead. Otherwise, once the gate opens, we'll all be doomed," said Nian anxiously. Long Chun might not have managed to sense that person's aura, but for just a look to almost make his soul collapse, the latter probably was an eternal expert. Long Chun took a deep breath. "Let's attack it together. No matter what, we must destroy the karmic luck bead." Meng Qi, Chu Yao, Tang Wan'er, Yi Zhiqiu, Dong Mingyu, Lu Ruyan, and the others made their preparations. Attack! Long Chun then shot toward the karmic luck bead with a bronze cauldron in his hand. Long Chun had no chance to examine that other world. However, he had seen endless devil creatures inside. If that gate fully opened, the human race in this region would probably be annihilated. Nian was correct. This was a complex trap, an absolutely enormous and cunning one. Everyone here was being manipulated and ensnared within its web. After all, the karmic luck bead had blinded people's eyes. It was the bait as well as the key to opening the gate. The gate was slowly opening, powered by the karmic luck bead. Furthermore, the karmic luck bead's power stemmed from the blood-soul energy in this place. Amidst this chaotic battle, countless life forms were dying, accelerating the opening of the gate. Thus, Long Chun could not wait any longer. He had to destroy the karmic luck bead immediately. Wielding the earth cauldron, Long Chun charged toward the karmic luck bead, streaking through the air, unstoppable. Countless life forms in the midst of slaughtering each other were blasted away by the astral winds around him, and he smashed the earth cauldron at the karmic luck bead. The karmic luck bead quivered, exuding a burst of divine light that shocked everyone. Their attention shifted to the bronze cauldron, and many people recognized it. Didn't he sell that cauldron? How does he still have it? Boom! Just as everyone was bewildered by the bronze cauldron, the karmic luck bead bounced Long Chun back along with his cauldron. What? Long Chun's expression completely changed. This was the earth cauldron. How could it not shatter the karmic luck bead? His mind turned blank. Ha ha ha, fool. Do you think a counterfeit is the real thing? Do you take that broken cauldron of yours to be the true heaven-earth cauldron? Sneered some people upon seeing his dumbfounded shock. Suddenly, a black streak pierced through the air, striking the karmic luck bead. The karmic luck bead once more caved in, and then a delicate figure was also sent flying. Dong Mingyu had also tried to attack with the black dagger, but it was useless, causing her to be filled with disbelief. This mysterious dagger had yet to fail her. She had never encountered anything capable of blocking its attack. "Senior, what's going on? Even the heaven-earth cauldron can't break it?" cried out Long Chun in a panic. The earth cauldron is known for its gentle nature, and the karmic luck bead is also a flexible entity. Soft against soft, it lacks the strength to shatter the bead. That black dagger is capable of breaking it, but with your current power, it is impossible. Your offensive power is not concentrated enough, said the dragon expert. Not concentrated enough? Long Chen's heart shook. Boom! At this moment, a wind blade slashed onto the karmic luck bead. Tang Wan'er refused to believe that it was impervious, but she was also unable to damage it. Long Chun found that as they attacked the karmic luck bead, the likes of Long Outyen, Lian Wuying, Yi Wuchen, Zhao Xingtian, the Shadow Princess, the Ghost Dao Lifeform, and the others were not stopping him. Instead, they were just watching disdainfully. The runes around the karmic luck bead had been all absorbed, and the core of the karmic luck bead could not be touched by anyone. Since that was the case, countless experts turned their attention to the Dragonblood Legion, wanting the runes that they had just absorbed. Zifeng. Long Chun suddenly shouted. Leave it to me. Yu Zifeng's figure appeared in the air. He looked at the giant karmic luck bead, and his hand slowly reached back for the hilt of his sword. What is he doing? He can't possibly. Are they crazy? This scene stunned the onlookers outside of the martial stage, but then contemptuous expressions appeared on their faces. Xiachun. Long Chun only needed to glance at Xiachun, and he instantly understood. Clenching his teeth, he stealthily took out a whole pile of formation discs. Yu Zifeng stood atop the karmic luck bead. In front of this enormous sphere, Yu Zifeng was as small as an ant. Yu Zifeng's white robes began to flutter, despite the absence of any wind. Two sharp sword images appeared in his eyes. To everyone's surprise, strange sounds rang out around Yu Zifeng, and black threads materialized in the air, swaying around him. Upon closer inspection, the expressions of the onlookers completely changed. Those are spatial cracks. Yu Zifeng had not even unleashed any manifestation or mighty aura, but many spatial cracks already appeared around him. Furthermore, those cracks were not straight, akin to threads flying around him. 1, 2, 100, 1,000, 10,000. Countless black threads flew through the air, allowing the supreme experts to see the world inside those cracks. These spatial cracks emitted no sound whatsoever, plunging the world into absolute silence. Mu Qingyun watched worshipfully, using her heart to memorize every single one of Yu Zifeng's movements. Everyone in the Dragonblood Legion held their breaths. Only Long Outyen, Lian Wuying, and the others had contemptuous expressions, clearly knowing that this karmic luck bead was unbreakable. At the very least, no one in the Sage King Prefecture was capable of such a thing. Yu Zifeng's voice was icy and aloof, like the murmuring of the sword god, like the edict of heaven and earth echoing throughout the 9 heavens. 9 heavens, 10 lands, 3 Tao worlds. There is nothing that I cannot cut. Yu Zifeng unsheathed his sword, and this time he wasn't fast. His movements were clearly visible to everyone. As Yu Zifeng's sword slashed down, ripples cascaded in heaven and earth. Everyone witnessed a crescent moon-like streak of sword chi slashing through the wall of the heavens. In that moment, the 10,000 Daos, the laws governing the world, were all instantly erased. All runes of the Grand Tao vanished, leaving only a sword that shocked heaven and earth. A sword that made both ghosts and gods weep. It carried a certain will, a certain determination that proclaimed nothing could stop it. Even as the sword cut through the air, an eerie silence prevailed, devoid of any audible friction. Time seemed to slow down, and everyone saw with utmost clarity as the crescent moon slashed the karmic luck bead. Boom! As the silence was gone, in front of countless shocked gazes, the karmic luck bead that Long Chun and Dong Mingyu hadn't been able to harm exploded. The next moment, countless runes flew through the air, like a grand Tao flower blooming. However, the eruption looked somewhat slow. Along with the explosion of the karmic luck bead, space twisted around the core region, and a group of people appeared. They were the experts from Long Chen's faction, and they had returned once more. Without delay, they swiftly devoured the karmic luck runes that emanated from the explosion of the karmic luck bead. Seeing this scene, the onlookers finally recovered from their shock. As for Long Outyen, Lian Wuying, and the others, they were both shocked and incensed. They couldn't believe that the indestructible karmic luck bead would be destroyed by one slash of a sword. Quick, take them! A furious roar rang out, but following that, a shocking scene appeared. Lian Wuying and the others also rushed to the core region. However, they were shocked to find themselves moving very slowly. It was like they were moving through water, as if their legs were made of lead. All their movements were slow and clumsy. Moreover, everything around them was slow. Even the sound of breathing was intermittent, sounding very odd. What? Did his sword cut the laws of space? Cried out an innate heaven venerate from outside the martial stage. It didn't. If it did, time would already stop in that region. His sword only managed to disturb the flow of space there. And that's why the time inside the martial stage is flowing differently than outside, said someone. feeling equally shocked nonetheless. To affect the laws of time and space, isn't that something only eternal experts can barely accomplish? That's what the legends said. But sword cultivators are existences that can break all laws. Sword cultivators were truly an inconceivable existence. They couldn't be judged according to common sense, nor did they fit in the standards of the cultivation world. They were a bunch of existences that broke common sense. After this one slash, the sword images in Yuzifeng's eyes faded, and his complexion turned as pale as paper. Blood suddenly sprayed out of his mouth. However, he wore a light smile on his face. I finally touched that level. After saying that, Yuzifeng's eyes dimmed and he fell unconscious. That sword contained his full heart and spirit. He hadn't held back in the slightest. In the cultivation world, perhaps the only existence capable of unleashing every single trace of their power in one blow would be sword cultivators. Other than them, no one could break this rule, including Long Chun. He had countless big moves, but not one of those could concentrate every single trace of his energy into one blow. If such a move existed, his meridians would be shattered and his soul would be exhausted after using it. It would be like a brilliant firework containing his life's achievement before he faded into eternal darkness. Only the strongest sword cultivators possessed the ability to concentrate all of their energy into a single concentrated blow. This was why they were widely acknowledged as the greatest offensive force in the cultivation world. Their superiority in this regard was undisputed. Long Chun caught Yu Zifeng and sensed his body. He found that Zifeng's essence, qi, and spirit were in a severe deficit, causing him to pass out. Fortunately, his body was not injured. Qing Yun, look after Zifeng. Long Chun passed Yu Zifeng to Mu Qing Yun. At this moment, the flow of time on the martial stage had normalized. Without delay, Lian Wuying, Long Outyen, Yi Wuchen, and the rest came charging over with their eyes ablaze. After all, the karmic luck bead had exploded, and most of its fragments had been absorbed by the Dragonblood warriors and their allies. However, there were still many karmic luck runes flying in the air outside the core, so their first target was those runes. After taking them, they would start a slaughter to obtain the rest. Suddenly, a giant golden net spread through the air, instantly wrapping around all of those runes, provoking Long Outyen and the others. When they looked at the source of the net, they saw a wretched face with a sinister smile. Mo Nian. The one to cast this net was Mo Nian, who was relaxing on his crystal coffin. He was leisurely pulling in his net, which material remained a mystery, but any runes that touched it were caught, including all the runes that hadn't been absorbed yet. This was truly catching everything in one net. Seeing this scene, Long Outyen and the others' eyes turned red with greed and rage. Previously, when the outer edge of the karmic luck bead had exploded, they hadn't participated in the fight, fully aware that those were only small fragments. Their true target was the core. They had thought that the core would need to absorb even more blood-soul energy before it could erupt, and the real fight would start then. Thus, they had allowed everyone else to slaughter each other for the leftovers, as it was their blood-soul energy that would drive the eruption of the core. However, they had never expected the circumstances to change because of Yu Zifeng. The karmic luck bead had been destroyed, and over half of its essence was absorbed by Long Chen's people. As for the other half, it was now caught by Mo Nian. If Mo Nian really succeeded, then they would have obtained nothing in this Sage King convention. Die! The first to close in on Mo Nian was Yen Wuji, the descendant of the human emperor. As he struck, his manifestation abruptly came into being. From it, a majestic figure materialized, unleashing unparalleled emperor might. The heavens and earth seemed to resonate with him as he launched a fist toward Mo Nian. Yen Wuji was finally panicking. Although he had been chasing after Mo Nian this entire time, he had been conserving his real power to fight for the karmic luck essence. Now, seeing half of that essence be captured by Mo Nian, he didn't hold back the slightest. He directly summoned his human emperor manifestation. Boom! Yen Wuji had just arrived when a golden figure, radiating an endless dragon might, intercepted him. Long Chun unleashed a powerful punch on his own, resulting in an explosive collision. Yan Wuji's body then shook intensely and flew back, while Long Chun shot back like he had been struck by a shooting star. "Good brother, buy me some time," shouted Ammonian as he hastily dragged in the net. This net was something Ammonian had prepared as soon as he knew that the karmic luck fragments would appear. It was perfect for gathering karmic luck fragments. However, now he felt a bit regretful. That was because he had been too greedy. He had drawn so many karmic luck fragments that pulling in the net became extraordinarily taxing. Now that so many people were attacking him, he was nervous. "Do what you need to do," Long Chun shouted and shot toward Long Outyen and the others. Raising a hand, Long Chun channeled his thunder force, and a lightning sphere rapidly grew. World Extermination Lightning Radiance. Long Chen's attacks were executed with remarkable swiftness and precision, all without the need for any hand seals. His ability to unleash such a powerful technique immediately after exchanging blows with Yan Wuji left observers baffled, defying people's understanding. A giant sphere of lightning left Long Chen's hand. It then rapidly grew and exploded amongst Long Outyen and the others. Wild lightning ravaged them, transforming into a sea of lightning that directly turned many experts into dust. Heavens! This is heavenly tribulation lightning. He can actually control heavenly tribulation lightning. However, although this lightning was terrifying enough to slaughter Triple Supremes, it was not enough to stop the likes of Long Outyen and Lian Wuing. They directly pierced through the sea of lightning. World Extermination Flame Lotus. They had barely passed through the sea of lightning when a giant flame lotus smashed toward them, once more devouring them. After passing through the sea of lightning, they were met by a sea of fire. Although these attacks weren't strong enough to kill them, under this twisted space, their speed plummeted. Buzz. Just then, Ammonian finally managed to pull in his net and then packed it inside his crystal coffin. By the time Long Outyen and the others flew through the sea of fire, Ammonian was already putting away his net. As a result, Long Outyen's expression instantly changed. "Long Chun, Ammonian, I don't want those karmic luck runes. I just want you both to die in endless pain," Long Outyen bellowed. Suddenly, his 5-colored manifestation became a 7-colored one, and his aura surged exponentially, growing dozens of times. Boom! The void beneath his feet exploded. However, what shocked people was that he didn't attack Long Chun or Ammonian. Instead, he charged toward the Dragonblood Legion. "Kill these people. They just absorbed the runes, and they'll come out as soon as you kill them," shouted Lian Wuing. Following that, everyone on the martial stage charged toward the Dragonblood Legion from all sides. Seeing this scene, Long Chun clenched his fists, his gaze turning ice cold. All of a sudden, the golden dragon scales on his body seemed to be stimulated and slowly opened, endless power flowing on top of them. "Cloud Dragon Immolation Claw!" Long Chun roared, channeling all his strength into his dragon claw. He then plunged it directly through the fabric of space, striking Long Outyen. Long Outyen was leading the charge toward the Dragonblood Legion, and the Long clan's heavenly geniuses were following close behind him. But at this moment, a dragon claw enveloped all of them, bringing with it the air of death. Long Outyen had repeatedly targeted the Dragonblood Legion to antagonize Long Chun. As a result, Long Chun was fully enraged and no longer cared about how the rest of the battle would go. He directly unleashed his killer move. 7-color Supreme Blood Shield. Knowing that there was no dodging this dragon claw, Long Outyen's 7-colored Divine Radiance condensed into 18 barriers in front of him. Even the experts beyond the martial stage could sense the terrifying power of the barrier. Remarkably, each of the barriers actually contained metal, wood, water, fire, earth, yin, and yang energy with incredible purity. Even the innate heaven venerates, with all their experience, had never seen anyone capable of using so many elements simultaneously. Triple Supremes typically only had 3 kinds of energy, yet Long Outyen actually used 7, and every single one of them was incredibly powerful. When the power of his 5 elements flowed, yin and yang energy bolstered them. Due to this, each of those barriers was comparable to a grand formation, and breaking through it would be incredibly difficult. However, Long Outyin had summoned 18 at once. To everyone's surprise, though, these mighty barriers were as weak as paper in front of the dragon claw. They were torn through one by one. What? The experts of the Long clan were left dumbfounded. The eighth elder even leaped to his feet, staring in disbelief. He was well aware of Long Outyin's immense power and had regarded the seven-colored supreme blood as a monstrous, unrivaled existence. Long Outyin's five-colored shield was a formidable defense that was hard for most triple supremes to breach. This was due to the flow of the five elements within it, which dissipated about 80% of a person's attack power or even rendered it ineffective if their power wasn't concentrated enough. As for the seven-colored shield, it had the power of yin and yang on top of the five elements. The eighth elder had personally tested it and found that even he would need to use his full power to break one of those shields. Hence, he knew just how powerful Long Outyin's seven-colored shield was and had even thought that Long Outyin was taking Long Chen's attack too seriously by summoning 18 shields at once. There was no need for such a thing. However, those shields then shattered one by one, and the dragon claw continued. In front of countless astonished eyes, it tore through all 18 shields in one go. Seeing this scene, Long Outyin unsheathed his sword, and its cold light tore through the heavens. This was an eternal divine weapon, and its might was so formidable that even gods would think twice before confronting it. Boom! Long Chen's dragon claw continued onward, and with a heaven-shaking explosion, Long Outyin's sword chi was forcibly crushed by this dragon claw. Finally, the expression on Long Outyin's face changed. This claw had gone through 18 of his shields. According to reason, it should have exhausted all of its power. This is the way. Well done. The dragon expert's praise rang out in Long Chen's mind. It was extremely excited. This display from Long Chen got full marks from it. Long Chen was also excited. It was only thanks to the dragon expert's guidance in front of the bone steel that he had managed to master this divine technique. Long Chen had finally understood the proper form of the dragon race's divine abilities. Before this, Long Outyin's protective divine radiance would have blocked over 90% of Long Chen's dragon claw energy. After all, the seven-colored supreme blood was too overpowering. Fortunately, it was powerless against the true cloud dragon immolation claw. Long Chen had channeled his full might, concentrating his power at the tips of the dragon claw. As a result, the seven-colored shields were unable to absorb or dissipate the force, and Long Chen's claw pierced through Long Outyin's defenses like a nail. In the end, the 18 shields were broken with the dragon claw still retaining around 80% of its original power. This attack was bordering on perfection, so it was no wonder the dragon expert would praise Long Chen. Even amongst the dragon race, those capable of mastering this technique to such a degree were as rare as a phoenix feather or Qilin horn. With his sword chi crushed, in his fury, Long Outyin raised his sword. Within his manifestation, the image of a sun and moon came into view. The next moment, yin and yang interwove through the five elements, causing divine radiance to flow around his sword. A sharp aura then rose out of it, so sharp that it was like the world would be cut apart by it. He then cut Long Chen's dragon claw with it. He's finally using his full power. Long Chen's death is at hand. This seven-peak sword is an immemorial divine weapon that perfectly matches Outyin's attributes. It immediately recognized him as master upon seeing him. When Outyin unleashed the sword's divine might, even innate heaven venerates would avoid him. No one on the martial stage can rival him. The eighth elder smiled when he saw this scene. Seven-peak slash. Long Outyin roared. His sword then quivered and suddenly slashed down. However, the moment Long Outyin's sword fell, Long Chen actually appeared right in front of him in a flash, shocking Long Outyin. Long Chen was actually able to escape the lock of the seven-peak sword. Now his attack had yet to be unleashed, but Long Chen was already right in front of him. Long Outyin would never have dreamed that this seven-peak sword, an eternal divine weapon from ancient times, would be unable to lock down Long Chen. Stunned, Long Outyin suddenly altered the angle of his seven-peak sword, turning his slash into a horizontal cut. It had to be said that Long Outyin was truly a peak genius. He was able to switch techniques quickly. However, to everyone's astonishment, Long Chun was cut in two by this one sword strike. "No, that's a fake. Outyin has fallen for a trap," exclaimed an expert from the Long clan. Long Chun was still in his original location, not moving at all. What appeared in front of Long Outyin was merely a clone. Amidst his preparations for a powerful attack and with the 7-peak sword's lock on Long Chun, Long Outyin had never thought that Long Chun would use a clone to attack him. He instinctively changed his attack to match Long Chun's move. But as a result, just as he cleaved the Long Chun before him in half, he realized that he had fallen for it. Long Chun's clone was destroyed, but that 7-colored divine radiance was like a crescent fong sweeping through the air, heading straight toward the experts pouncing on the Dragonblood Legion. These experts were focused on the Dragonblood Legion, but before they even got a chance to attack, Long Outyin's strike reached them, catching them off guard. The next moment, countless lifeforms were struck by the 7-color divine light, and this stunned countless people both inside and outside the martial stage. The power of Long Outyin's attack was absolutely shocking. It passed through the entire crowd and struck the martial stage's barrier, slashing through it and leaving a massive cut in the process. Nevertheless, despite the sword's formidable might, it had landed on the wrong target. Thanks to him, the number of experts from the 10,000 races was instantly halved. The surviving experts experienced a whirlwind of emotions, initially shocked, followed by fury, and eventually overtaken by terror. The survivors only lived thanks to luck. Only peak experts had the power to react and dodge in time. In contrast, numerous experts lost their lives without even knowing what was going on, lost in the craze for the karmic luck runes. Long Outyin, Lian Wuying, Yi Wuchen, Zhao Xingtian, and the other experts roared furiously, killing intent exploding out of them. Long Outyin's attack killed so many people, regardless of their status or race. It even claimed the lives of numerous members of the Undying race. Although the Undying race's powerful life force allowed them to revive even upon being obliterated, Long Outyin's attack seemed to have absorbed all of their life force before killing them. "Long Outyin, you attacked too early. Didn't we say that you'd only switch sides at the very end?" In the distance, Nian shouted at Long Outyin with exasperation, causing everyone to look at Long Outyin with new wariness and anger. Long Outyin was enraged. He had fallen for Long Chen's trick, killing many of Long Chen's enemies in one blow. Now Nian even slandered him, and he didn't know how to respond. "Die!" Long Outyin didn't bother explaining and furiously slashed the 7-peak sword at Long Chun. He would use his actions to prove himself. Boom! Long Chun brandished his fist to receive this blow. With an explosive sound, the sword was knocked aside, but the scales on his fist shattered and golden blood oozed out. The 7-peak sword was clearly different from the violet gold bell. Long Chun would naturally be at an immense disadvantage if he caught it barehanded. However, after this attack, Long Chun grew even more confident. He was now unafraid of eternal divine weapons. At the very least, eternal divine weapons in the hands of immortal kings were unable to cause him fatal injuries. As Long Outyin let out a resounding roar, waves of sword images came flying out of the 7-peak sword. Long Outyin then crazily attacked, tearing through the void with every slash. In contrast, golden light blazed from Long Chen's body, and his dragon cry kept resounding throughout the heavens. He fought against the 7-peak sword with his fists. The astral winds and sword chi from their exchanges actually penetrated the martial stage's barrier. The entire Sage King Prefecture was quivering because of their battle. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. They were finally experiencing a genuine battle between unrivaled heavenly geniuses. Long Chun and Long Outyin's exchanges started a chaotic battle on the martial stage. Boom! Lian Wuying's lily leaves covered the sky as they fell on the Dragonblood Legion, only to be blocked by an enormous willow tree. The willow's branches were like sharp swords piercing back toward Lian Wuying. As both Lian Wuying and Lu Ruyan had summoned their true bodies, the martial stage didn't seem to be able to fit both of them at once. It instantly became packed. Space quivered, The next moment, a sword silently pierced toward the unconscious Yu Zifeng. Mu Qingyun was holding him, but by the time she noticed this sword, that sword was almost at his head. Just as it seemed like he would be pierced through, a dagger blocked that sword. Seeing this, Mu Qingyun was pale with terror and hastily retreated with Yu Zifeng. Mu Qingyun was shocked and flustered. She was also a sword cultivator, but she hadn't even sensed an assassin getting close. Two figures then appeared from the void. The sword-wielding sneak attacker was the Shadow Race's princess. As for the one to block her, it was the delicate Dong Mingyu. "Why aren't you using that black dagger?" The Shadow Princess was like a phantom. She had managed to silently appear in the Dragonblood Legion's camp. In a clash between assassins, there's no need to rely on a weapon advantage. "I don't need it to kill you," responded Dong Mingyu coldly. After saying that, she turned to the horrified Mu Qingyun. "Don't worry about it. She is the Shadow Race's princess, and her bloodline is special. Only she is capable of sneaking over here. Concentrate yourself. Maintain the absolute calmness of a sword cultivator. After all, the heart reflects the sword. Don't let other things disturb you." After saying that, without anyone seeing how she moved, the Shadow Princess suddenly raised her sword to block. Only when some sparks flew did Dong Mingyu's figure slowly fade away. One was the Shadow Race's princess, and the other was the Shadow Sect's top assassin. After one clash, both of their figures vanished. Sparks flew throughout the void as they would appear in different spots each time. However, no one was able to see their actual figures. In fact, they didn't even see their weapons and only saw sparks when their weapons clashed. Kill! A large battle erupted. Gu Yong wielded his spear against Yi Wuchen, and Guoran summoned his battle armor, his sabers dancing as he fought Zhao Xingtian. As for Xiachun, he was throwing talismans that blocked the Ghost Dao lifeform. Emon Yen was finally fighting seriously, his mischievous smile gone. Behind him, his manifestation of an ancient divine bow and ancient pine swayed. He was going all out. His opponent was Yen Wuji, who was wielding a halberd. At some point, a golden crown had appeared on his head, and the human emperor manifestation behind him supported him with its emperor might. Each of his blows caused heaven and earth to quiver. Emon Yen and Yen Wuji's battle shocked countless people, especially the factions that had arrest warrants out for Emon Yen. Their jaws dropped. They hadn't expected the wretched fellow whom they had pursued for so long, the shameless fellow who had no ability other than fleeing, would possess such immense power. He was fighting on par with the human emperor's descendant. After seeing that, they felt a burst of fear. If Emon Yen hadn't chosen to flee and instead fought against them, their families would probably have been destroyed. However, what they were unable to understand was that if Emon Yen was so powerful, why did he always like to do something as shameful as robbing graves? At this moment, a bird cry rang out, shaking the heavens. Cloud had summoned the body of the cloud-chasing heaven-swallowing sparrow and spread her wings. Rainbow light was flowing on top of her feathers as her sharp claws raked the heavens. She was fighting a bloody battle with a Kuanping. This Kuanping was the strongest heavenly genius of the Kuanping race. These two immemorial divine birds were locked in an exceptionally intense battle, their skirmish causing blood and feathers to scatter in all directions. Tang Wan'er had wind blades all around her. Like a storm goddess, she blocked the entire heavenly tiger race all on her own. The heavenly tiger race's greatest heavenly genius was completely suppressed by Tang Wan'er. Without the aid of the rest of his race, he wouldn't have been able to survive her assault. Tang Wan'er was fierce and immediately launched her killing blows. This girl was venting all of the rage in her heart, and the only place for her to vent was on the heavenly tiger race's experts. In contrast, Yi Zhiqiu wielded a sword of ice and was fighting the black tortoise race's expert. That expert's defense was astonishing. His shell in particular was so strong that he didn't even fear eternal divine weapons. However, Yi Zhiqiu's ice energy did frighten him, and he was never able to escape her blockade. Next to their battlefield, a heavenly lightning violet salamander summoned a sea of lightning, but it was blocked by a sea of rainbow flames. Yu Qingxian had summoned the Heavenly Rainbow Flame. As the Heavenly Rainbow Flame was ranked 9th on the Heavenly Flame rankings, it was an existence that most people had only ever heard of but never seen. Its rainbow flames possessed the astonishing capability of incinerating heavenly lightning, leaving onlookers bewildered. Engaged in combat against a group of devil race experts, Meng Qi's spiritual strength surged, and her hand seals moved with the swiftness of lightning. Billions of swords encircled her opponents, their patterns and forms in constant flux. Within the confines of her formidable attack, no one could advance even a single step. Is Long Chen's side planning on fighting the entire world on their own? Seeing this sight, the human experts outside of the martial stage were stunned. Long Chen's side had actually managed to face everyone's attacks.